All black. Everything black. Yeah, I'm just saying. Black skin, black woman, black children, black friends, black shoes, black socks, black shirt, black hat on, black pants, car black. I might as well paint the house black. How about that? Welcome to the all black family, brother. We all that paid, make money, and sit into the continent. If you ain't paying dues, fuck your accomplishments. Make moves, do what it do, not for astonishment. When the cracker took over, that was the so-called apocalypse. And all we have now is bad revelations on top of brainwashed with the germs from a dirty mob. They make us out to be the bad guys. Fuck it, ain't no stopping it. Around in a dirty regal, call us evil. I show you evil. With this desert eagle, for my people, feeling like a repo. I'm taking everything back just to make it equal. Run the bag like I'm all that. All my designers is all black. I hang with killers and all that. All of my homies is all that. Welcome to the all black family, brother. We own that. Buying up the whole damn block so we can own that. Run the bag like I'm all that. All my designers is all black. I hang with killers and all that. All of my homies is all that. Welcome to the all black family, brother. We own that. Buying up the whole damn block so we can own that. In Niger, I pray to Ogun and Shango. I pray to Mozambique when I think about the Congo. When you see the truth, anything is possible. Hit the bomb, I'm bad. I'm impossible. When I'm feeling fancy, I call out to a Nazi with a web of protection so nothing gets past. Shout out to Marumba of the beautiful Kikuyu. Take it back west, I can't forget about voodoo. When I go south, catch me chilling with the Zulu. When I need food, I call upon it Kulu Kulu. For you crackers, it's not a new, this is Ampu. I'm a Ku Klux Klan killer, fuck them Mazungu. Run the bag like I'm all that. All my designers is all black. I hang with killers and all that. All of my homies is all that. Welcome to the all black family, brother. We own that. Buying up the whole damn block so we can own that. Run the bag like I'm all that. All my designers is all black. I hang with killers and all that. All of my homies is all that. Welcome to the all black family, brother. We own that. Buying up the whole damn block so we can own that.
All right, that was by my good brother Ibaka. First I want to say peace, liberation, motivation, and elevation to the black people. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. I'm Kofi Piesie. For those in the chat, please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. I think y'all will enjoy this discussion that we're about to have today. Real quick, I want to, before I introduce all my panelists that we got on the panel, available right now. You don't have it. My new book, Mandingo Theory, Castration of Africans in the Sex-crazed Conceptualization. It is available now on our website. That's www.sametreedifferentbranchpublishing.com. I'm gonna read two inserts from the book in a little while. But let's get into the show, man. First, like I said, I want to bring up the sisters. We got three beautiful sisters on the panel. So, I got my mother and my grandmother raised me with manners. So I want the ladies, the beautiful ladies, to go first. It don't matter who want to go first, but introduce yourself for the people that may not know who you are. Also, tell the people about your publications, where they can find your publications at, and if you got any recent upcoming works, let the family know about that and where they can be able to get that when it comes available as well. Well, let's start with Sister Ladosha. She's smiling. She always really. We'll start with Sister Ladosha, then we'll do Imiket, then we'll do Sister Carter.
All right. What's up, everybody? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha White, aka Key Lolo, coming to you live and direct here on the Kofi Piesie TV. I'm very, very excited to be a part of this esteemed panelist of indie authors. This book's absolutely black on black on black, so black on black. I'm loving this. So I am by day. I am a licensed cosmetologist and salon owner, but at night, I'm the author of two cool books. I have a self-help book titled What They Don't Tell You at the Hair Salon. And then I also, excuse me, have a children's book, and that's titled Curly Hair Adventures. And I think you could tell by the title, but that's exactly what it takes readers on, young and old. It's a curly hair adventure, a rhyming journey of adventures about hair, and children are introduced to foreign language. And my books are available on Amazon. You can also download the books on any of your smartphones and tablets and all that and whatnot have you. Also, if you look at my poster in the back right here, it says the narrative. I am a new indie film producer. So I have a documentary coming out this November, and it's called The Narrative. And this documentary confronts the miseducation of Afro hair.
And that's the only place that it's available at is on Amazon. And real quick, okay, but real quick before we go to the other sisters, I have to keep stating this. Everyone on the panel is an author, right? And I don't know where, my motto is, and we may talk about that a little bit too. I may talk about ISBNs and how, talk about ISBN and talk about, purchasing directly from the author if that's what, if that's what they suit, and maybe break down some percentages so people can understand that anybody that's, anytime we put out anything, it's cool to be on these different marketplaces. It's cool to be on Amazon. It's cool to be in Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, .com and other places, But that's cool. That's cool. But and maybe we'll talk about that if we have some time again. We'll maybe talk about, the importance of buying directly from the author. So if can they buy directly from you, Sister LaDosha?
They most certainly can.
Okay.
So the books are available here at the Reverse Design Team Hair Salon, and that's located in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. I am in a couple of bookstores locally, but you have to live here in Cleveland to get those. So if you guys are in Cleveland, just slide on through here, and we're in Cleveland Heights. So that's the Reverse Design Team Hair Salon. But a lot of people just like to shop online, especially if you're watching the channel from all over the globe. Amazon, and of course, if you download the book, that's just the quickest, fastest way. And then my download book is also interactive. So download the book is pretty cool. It comes to life.
Okay. Yeah, and I just want to throw that out there, man, too, because I know a lot of people be wanting to support us, man, but we be want all our money for our intellectual property. And on these other marketplaces, we have to split that with those individuals, and then a lot of times we have to wait to even receive that little split from them. You get your product, but we gotta wait on our, we gotta wait on our money. So you want every author to get, to get as much as he or she can for their intellectual property. So buy directly from the author. Keep that in mind. I know it's easy to go on Amazon.com, but I know most of the people on these panels, they're very trustworthy. So they're not gonna take your money. I know they've proved themselves that they're not going to take your money. So reach out to them. If they don't have a website where you can directly purchase from them, inbox them, email them, Facebook message them, and, let them know that you're acquiring to buy one of their publications. So that's how we truly support each other. That's how we truly support. Again, those other platforms are cool. Our books are all over the place. We may talk about where our books are at. They are outside the United States as well, but that's cool too. But we want you to buy directly from us. But go ahead. We'll start with other sister, Sister Emicat, and then we'll end with Sister Carl.
Hotepu, greetings, peace to everyone. Habari zenyu. My name is Emicat, and I am here in Atlanta, all the way via Kenya. I am born and raised in Kenya. And I'm definitely very excited to be one of the panelists at Kofi Piesie TV today. And obviously, I wear many hats, but I know today we're talking mostly about books. By day, I am a web developer and a graphic designer. I've also done other things. I've studied sound engineering and, other professions. But right now, definitely by day, I'm a web designer. and a graphic designer. And I'm also an author, and I've written this particular book. I think most of you have seen it around somewhere on YouTube. This is the penmanship, the beginner's penmanship book, and this is volume 1, and it specifically deals with monoliterals. There's volume 2 and volume 3 upcoming, but right now you can get this on Amazon, Amazon.com. That will work for us. Definitely, you can, if you want to actually buy it directly, like Kofi Piesie said, you can feel free to contact me at imikeataku@gmail.com, and we can make that happen. But Amazon.com has been working fine so far because they do take their money, but they do actually deliver and give us enough room to focus on other things and write more books while they do that. So we definitely commend, and I don't think I've had any issues with them so far. But if you would definitely like to support us directly, then you can actually contact me at imikeataku@gmail.com, and I can definitely accommodate that. And I don't have much to say at the moment. I'll give room to everybody else to introduce themselves.
Thank you. That's our Sister Imike. Now we'll go with Sister Carter.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Raquel McCarter. My author name is R.D. Carter. I'm a fairly new author, and I'm pretty excited about being on here with a full panel of well-experienced authors and people who have different perspectives, a lot more things to enlighten me on, and I'm pretty sure the audience will feel the same as well. My book that I just recently wrote and got published is called The Masquerade, and the idea for The Masquerade is to be a series to basically identify some ways in which we like to mask in society within our families, and how we find it so easy to do it to where we don't even know that we are consciously doing it. We're subconsciously doing these type of things. If you want to purchase the book is basically it's going to be highlighting a lot of different things in the Black community. I feel like we need to address certain things, and I'm just a person who, it doesn't matter where I come from or what I represent, I'm going to speak the truth. So I feel like it's a good read. It's very short, but it's something that people can relate to and will not shy back from because it's not too lengthy, but it's just enough to be able to get them the right message. It's located on Amazon, Hulu, Barnes & Nobles, but you can personally email me at themasqueradebooks@gmail.com.
All right. So we got a lot of my good brothers on the panel. So I guess we'll start with Amin Ma'at Ra, and then we'll just go down to Brother Sam, Brother Asar Hotel, Brother Pantha, Brother Ibaka, Brother I don't know who that is before Ibaka. They done got up from the who was that?
I was trying to see what.
Okay, we'll after Black Panther, we'll go to Brother Marvin, then Ibaka, then we'll go to Brother Lion, Brother Vasa, then we'll go to Baba Imhotep, we'll go to Sean, Wu Jiao, Banu, and then Chaz.
So greetings. My name is Amin Ma'at Ra. I'm a researcher and author. I've been a member of the Masi Warrior Clan for several years now. My primary focus is Kemet, ancient Egypt, and its continuity in modern African cultures, the shared commonalities. And one of my primary focuses is what's called in Kemet Tep Heseb, which is an emphasis on correct methodology to research and come with accurate conclusions, as opposed to being swayed by confirmation biases. So my focus is basically giving a foundational understanding of the deity system, the sciences, and the underlying themes of Kemet, and like I said, how they echo today in some of our traditional cultures. My latest book, is The Ancestors Surround Us, African Spirituality and Methodology. And in this book, I go through, comparative linguistics, history, spirituality, and the primary focus on this is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and the importance of its application in our communities, specifically today, because I think it's a growing problem that in our community and American culture in general, you see this heavy focus towards when you interview the average child, they want to be a YouTuber. They want to be some type of obscure personality, as opposed to dealing with science, technology, and things that can more further develop and empower our community. Another one of my book series, this is the Amun-Ra Illumination. This is all available on Amazon.com. So this is the Amun-Ra Illumination Volume 1. It's a 2-book series. This primarily focuses on the deities and a lot of myths and misunderstandings about Kemet and their fundamental outlook. I have another 3-book series. This is my 6th book I published, The Roman Illusion. It's a 3-volume series, and it deals with the mythological origins of the primary religions. Volume 1 deals with the mythological origins and creation of Christianity. Volume 2 deals with the mythological origins and the mythological characters that have been presented as historical personalities. Volume 2 is about Judaism. Volume 3 explores Islam. So that primary focus is to basically unravel and peel back the veil of mythological characters that have been presented as literal historical figures, i.e. Moses and these various mythological saviors of your foundational, Abrahamic traditions.
Okay. And where can they get your books at?
I'm on Amazon.com. And then locally, I'm Ohio based. So in Abdul's African Arts, it's indigenous African owner and everything. That's in Trotwood, Ohio. If you're in the Ohio area, I'm in the African bookstores. So that's where I'm primarily local. If you come and get my books directly, that's where you'll find me.
Okay. What about if they wanted to get them directly from you? Do you sell them directly, or you prefer them to go to Amazon and
Amazon and Abdul, sometimes directly. I need to build with you about that, or whether, because sometimes I get lazy. I don't feel like do I get to ripping and running.
Right. All right. So we'll go with Brother Sam. Peace, Brother Sam.
Peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Sam Polk Jr., originally from Jackson, Mississippi. I started as a newspaper writer, but I had never written a book until last summer. So my first one, I think I got it in the picture. I only have an hour. The subtitle is A Look at Mississippi Through the Lens of a Black College Football Cultural Framework. And what I tried to do was try to join 2 of my favorite pastimes, and that is studying the history of the African-American South, as well as Black college football. Growing up, I would say what Dr. Clark said was our last great walk in the sun as it referred to Black college football. Some of the greats in the history of the NFL, I saw a lot of them play. And what I tried to do was juxtapose the history of Mississippi during the Jim Crow era with Black college football, and a lot of those stories intertwine. So I tried to tell that story for a lot of the people that I grew up with that imparted that information on me, sometimes while we were watching football games live or in barbershops. But this is my first book, and it can be purchased on Amazon. I also have been inspired by you, Brother Kofi, in terms of being able to buy it directly from the author. I want to get with you also on what's the most feasible way to do that, because I too have it only on Amazon. But it's a great honor to be here with these esteemed guests and willing to listen and learn. Appreciate you.
No doubt. And I'm gonna have to bring you back on too, Brother Sam. Real soon, man. I've been wanting to get with you. I know we had some technical difficulties with the last interview we tried to do last year, man. So
yes, sir.
For the end of the year out, man, I might give you a call tomorrow, man, to see, what our schedules look like, so we can kind of set that up, man, because I kind of want to talk about your book, man, and kind of get people a little bit more familiar with you and familiar with, your podcast. I'll be checking your podcast out on Facebook, man. To give people the name of your podcast, man, and how often you go live on Facebook, and what does your podcast details in?
Absolutely. I do a podcast called the Melanated Power Hour. We basically talk about the history of the African American South and pretty much the diaspora. We try to cover a lot of subjects. You can hear it or catch it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Pandora. We go live on Facebook, but Facebook doesn't like us too much. Sometimes they kick us off, but you can always go over to Spotify, iHeartRadio. It airs 7 p.m. Central on Wednesday nights, and we try to do it every week, but sometimes we can't. But we try our best to be there every Wednesday night at 7 Central, and be glad to have everybody join in. And I'm gonna keep doing that until they kick us off all the way, you know. But appreciate you, brother Kofi.
No problem. Brother Sar, brother, and Sar M Hotel. You still with us, brother Sar?
Yes,
Hey.
I'm is.
All right.
Hopefully it's not too well, I don't think you can really hear anything from where I'm at, because I'm at a festival right now, and so there's some music and reggae and all that playing in the distance, but I don't think y'all could hear it from here. But anyway, peace and blessings to the family, everyone that is on the panel, to Brother Kofi and the Piesie research team, and of course, all of the listeners who are checking us out now. I am Brother Sar Hotep, out of Philadelphia, originally out of Houston, Texas. And I guess, I would assume that I'm an author. So I have many publications, so I won't go through all of those, but I will name the latest publication that you can find. It is titled Chiluba, Maweja, Yoruba, Orisha, and the Ancient Egyptian Ak, an exploratory etymological study. This is the first text in an emerging discipline that we're calling Intu-Kan. In other words, the relationship between ancient Egypt and the Intu cultures of Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. And so we're doing Nile River study. So this is the first publication within the discipline itself. And I'm interested in, of course, ancient Kemet, mainly African history, culture, language, philosophy, and religion. So a lot of my texts are going to be centered around those themes and the kind of other issues that surround those particular topics. And currently working on, this is the first draft, unedited, of course, of an upcoming text, which we're scheduled for a March 2023 release. And that is titled Race and Identity in Ancient Egypt, Volume 1, Towards an Etymology of the Place Named Kemet. Is going to be a 3-volume series. So the first one is going to be primarily a linguistic text, tracing the etymology and hopefully ending this debate on the meaning of the place named Kemet. But the greater issue is ancient Egyptian, again, race and identity. So volume 2 is actually going to be, I'm going to be the editor of the text, and there's going to be other scholars who will be contributing to that volume. And then the third volume is just going to be primary text. So I'm going to try to include the hieroglyphs and the ancient Greek text, transliterations and translations, so that it can be a reference text for this larger conversation on the identity of the ancient Egyptians and the like. So I have my own publishing company. It's called Mandingo Press. I have one text outside of mine that is going to be, that has been released, and that's by Dr. Chiluma Mukinge. And we're going to have another text coming up by Dr. Shormaker Keita, who is a biological anthropologist. And we're working and negotiating right now, translating this text from French, and it's going to deal with the Arab slave trade. And so that'll be coming up. So, you know, being kind of very busy, not only with my own research, but, you know, gearing up to get some other publications, especially a lot of them that is translated, to be translated from the Francophone scholars into English through Mandingo Press. So I'm not sure if that was a good enough intro.
So where can they find your publications at, brother? So,
well, you can go to madundelapress.com. That's MADUNDELA.com. Oh, excuse me, PRESS, madundelapress.com. Or you can go to asarmhotep.com. And of course, like many have already stated, you can go to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles and other places, depending on the text. And so, yeah, those are the primary locations that you can find.
We got a Black Panther. The Black Panther.
Spears are flying. Pseudos are crying. Alafia, Amandala, Baby Fahudi, your favorite warrior, Black Panther in the building. Appreciate being invited to the panel. Thank you, everyone, for showing up that was invited. Thank you all for your great works. Thank you all for being dedicated to writing. My latest publication is called Is African Spirituality a Religion? Oh, it blurred that out there.
Yeah, it blurred out big time.
Yeah. Well, you can find it on sametreedifferentbranch.com. That is the primary website to support the authors, like Kofi said earlier. I also have two Pan-African journals, Killmonger's Corner, Volume 1 and 2, which you can get on Amazon.com, as well as two children's books, Aaron Knows About Africa and A Karo Mommy and A Karo Daddy. I am the co-founder of the Masi Warrior Clan, so please check us out on YouTube at Masi Warrior Clan. You will find a lot of the brothers you see here on the channel. And, you know, we do a variety of topics. So I'm just glad to be here amongst authors, amongst scholars, amongst researchers, amongst people of many different skills, African people in general. And that's it.
Okay, you let them know where you can find your books at all.
Yeah, paying attention. Knew you was going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to navigate the chat too. Okay, so we have Brother Marv. Brother Marv, could you introduce yourself for people who may not know who Brother Marv is and let them know about your various publications?
Yes, greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
All right. Greetings, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and I've known by different names. As a result of some recent experiences, I have adopted the one and final name that I'm going to use, and that's Ta-Nehisi, which is an ancient name for Nubia. And it was given to me by one of my Asukos at Central State University prior to my educational experiences for the master's and PhD program at Howard. I've written 3 books, actually 4, 3 of which have been published, and one that we're trying to complete and publish now, thanks to Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. Um, when I transitioned, uh, I discovered that everything that we have been told in this reality, for the most part, is not true. It's been a perspective that has been um, defined by Germanics. For example, the colors, the names, man, woman, those are German terms. Black is German, brown is German. So as I woke up, I wanted to escape all that. We need the language that we speak is betraying us, and that's part of the enslavement. And that's until we can escape the language and adopt traditional African culture and language and speak in indigenous tongues, we will remain to be enslaved. And I've been following most of you on Instagram, sorry, YouTube and Facebook to some extent, and I've appreciated and benefited heavily from you, your videos and everything. I stopped broadcasting. I am a producer, in addition to being a student of Afrocentricity and everything else. But I stopped publishing because, for one, I didn't have the permission, and secondly, I didn't want to bring any harm to or danger to any of you. And in addition to that, like I said, it's a pleasure to be here. I owe all of you the greatest amount of respect and honor that anyone could ever give because you helped me to rebuild myself. And I appreciate that. I want you to know that. Thank you.
Where can they find if they want to purchase one of your did you name your books? I know I ain't been paying attention. I'm trying to still see put these things in the chat, but if you where can they find if they want to get your volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4 will be on the way pretty soon. We trying to finish that up right now.
Yeah, we have some books thanks to the publishing company on Amazon, and I'm not sure if I might wait till I finish the second series to put the second book on Amazon. But those are the books Kofi has in his hands. That's that's the person who really shaped me in every form of fashion. And she transitioned a while ago, and when I transitioned, I went looking for her and I couldn't find her. And then I started looking at science and everything else, and I see that DNA tells us that we are our ancestors. That's why one of the things I hear Kofi and Sean say all the time is so important because there's so much truth to that. Because when you transition, you don't see nothing but energy. And you have to understand energy from a scientific perspective. And I try to do that. And I'm gonna continue doing that as long as I can.
Appreciate you, Brother Marv. Appreciate you, Brother Marv. Let's go to Mbaka, then we'll go to Brother Lion, and then Brother Watson. Then we'll go move on down. We can't hear you, Brother Mbaka.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good.
All right. Greetings to everyone. Greetings to the panel. Greetings to the host. I am much appreciated to be here. Thank you for having me. I do not consider myself an author at the moment, but as me and Brother Kofi has chopped up, we came to a conclusion that I can be on here and whatnot. I am working on several books at the moment, but I do not consider myself an author. I'm working on a couple of books. One of the books is a novel that I'm co-writing with one of my brothers. And that novel is I would say, from the standpoint or the worldview from African mythology, that's one of my specialties is African mythology. I want to liberate individuals by thinking more analytical when it comes to how our social behaviors and how our cycle behaviors are impacting each other each day. So that's one of the books. And that book, just to kind of touch on it, is going to be about 3 to 4 months from now. We're going to get it published, and it's going to be published by Brother Kofi, publishing company. And that book is simply a young man's journey into venturing out and understanding that the world has nothing to offer and that nothing can satisfy him but the excitement and the illumination that his ancestors can provide. And that's one of the things. So it's going to be heavy in mythology. We're going to also, have a raffle, for the book release. I think we're going to start at $1,000. If anyone could get the 5 points, the 5 main points of the book, we're gonna give that $1,000 away. But I don't want to get lost in just psychobabbling right now. The second book is going to be on primal excellency. It's going to deal with the misapplication of the terminology primal. A lot of individuals consider that a derogatory term. Europeans have used it derogatorily, and I think there needs to be a revamp, or not a revamp, but more, needs to be a better expression or a better definition for that terminology, because I am one who is fascinated with ancient times, but I'm also a futurist, right? I believe that Africa is the future. I believe that the principles and the tenets that were here aforetime is very beneficial today, especially raising children. I think they need to understand a lot of the points, a lot of the tenets that our ancestors left behind for the purpose of character building. One of the concepts is Owumo, and hopefully we can get into that a little bit later. Owumo is just simply the mental presence of vigor. So, but appreciate it. Appreciate being here. Thank you.
Brother Lion.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you, brother.
We can hear you, brother. All right. Well, Brother Kofi, to the panel and to your viewers, I greet you all in the words of peace. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, alafia, hotep, and as always, race first. I am Lion Blyden. I am the president of the UNIA Montgomery Boroughs Division number 433 here in Buffalo, New York. You see here the president generals of UNIA from Garvey to our current president general, Michael R. Duncan. And I joined the UNIA in 2015, and we created our division here. One of the things that I got from Garvey and Garveyism in trying to develop that was trying to locate the history of the Garveyites here in my city. And so that drove me to try and have some historical preservation, specifically here locally. A lot of people know about the New York City conventions and things like that, and, Black Star Line, and they got all the titles and things, but the specifics of what was done here was lost. And trying to find that, I learned that, it was lost and stolen on purpose. And that continues with what you were saying in the beginning, Brother Kofi, about how currently, right now, 100 years later, they're currently doing the same thing, trying to erase books specifically from school, but also books that deal with Black culture, African culture. So my focus was local historical preservation, specifically with the Garveyites, but just local families. So we came up with a program because of that, where we would teach children to write books based on their own research on their own family history, to see what their family Black history was to the city, how their family contributed. And now if you put that together, if we all did that in our cities across the country, now we are building our own personal libraries that we could eventually link together to have our own historical preservation system. Again, that's the kind of lesson that Garvey was talking about, our own everything, and specifically dealing with literature and education. He was saying that, we should have, our students should be par excellence, specifically in science. And we know that literacy is a science. Knowing how to read and write is, there's a science to that. And we know that just watching some of these brothers that that are on the panel right now. I've seen some of you guys work. Salute, man. You guys are doing some of the greatest things that can ever be done for our people as far as getting us back to our knowledge. So salute y'all work for real. So to get into some other books that we've done outside of the historical preservation, I actually wrote a book mimicking Garvey called A Philosophy and an Opinion of Lion Blyden myself, speaking about how I view us as a people, as a new race. Since the Ma'afa began, all of us, no matter where we are, have sort of developed into a new race, and we just have to figure out how to now unify that and build off of it. I then have that's called A Philosophy and an Opinion. Garvey had a play called The Coronation of the King and Queen of Africa. that play was lost to history. Nobody can find it. And so what I decided to do was to write a play off of that, where I added AKA Legendary Weapons of Africa, where I went around different African societies in history and in mythology and took the different weapons and fighting systems of Africa and put it into like an Afrofuturistic type thing. So, sort of similar to what the brother was talking about with dealing with mythology and bringing that into our consciousness, just so we can be talking about our own mythology instead of, only Greek and Roman mythology. And so the idea was, I liken it to how the old school Kung Fu movies, they kept their history through those movies a lot of times, through those stories. A lot of those movies are the same movie, just told a different way. And so I was thinking, if we can have a hyper visualized version of our own mythology, we would be able to teach it a little bit better. So that was a way that I came up with doing it. It's called The Coronation of the King and Queen of Africa, AKA Legendary Weapons of Africa. Then the historical preservation thing that I talked about developed into our own historical Garveyite district here in Buffalo as well. I don't want to take up too much time. I do have another book that's in the works right now. Last time I was on with Brother Kofi, we spoke about it. I still wasn't able to knock it out yet because it's taking some turns dealing with religious fundamentalism and how I believe religion specifically is destroying the world in its own way, specifically in fundamentalism, because people who fundamentally believe things to be a way with no wavering are sort of what's causing the divisions in our own communities. Again, most of the things I do come from Garveyite mindset, following Tony Martin being named the historian of the UNIA-ACL, writing the Race First book, all of that type of thing just inspired me to make sure that we write our own story. You see, my nickname is Lion, and there's a quote that says, until the lion writes a story, the hunter will always be the hero. And so we can no longer allow that to be. We must write our own story. We must preserve it, and we must teach it and pass it on to the future generations so they can have a foundation to stand on. One last thing dealing with pages. Baba Steve Coakley said one time, when the future generations look through the pages of history, what will be next to your name when it comes to the liberation of our people? And we all sitting here on this panel are definitely trying to make sure we put a mark on the pages of history. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Brother Kofi, for having me. Salute you and your audiences.
Where can they find, if they wanted to get your material, where could they find your publication?
Okay, I'm here in Buffalo, New York. We have a store here called Zawadi Books. You can find them online. You can also order them directly from me, lionblyden.com. lionblyden@gmail.com. You can hit me through email. I spoke before last time I was on the show. I definitely be putting I have like 13 different books. I'll be putting them all on your platform, sir, if you'll have me. Also, you can find the books that I just mentioned, Philosophy and Opinion, Coronation, and several of the UNIA history books on Amazon Kindle and thebookpatch.com. I just put a link to the book patch in the back chat.
Okay. Appreciate it, brother. So let's go to Brother Vasa. Vasa, you on here?
Yes, sir, I'm here. My kids are loading up in the car. Y'all have to forgive me for that. Peace, everyone. My name is Vasa. I'm the father first and brother of the Kofi Piesie research team. And let me start off by saying thank you to everybody on the panel for having the honor of being amongst such profound and beautiful minds.
Your device is going out on us. I don't know if you're on the phone. If it is, it's we done lost you. But we'll come back to Brother Vasa. Let's go to Brother Baba M. Hotel. Peace, Brother Baba.
Peace and blessings, Brother Kofi. Hotel for beautiful holy to all the beautiful men and women that's on this panel. This is beautiful. And I'm honored to be here just to share my little piece. So yes, I don't call myself an author, but but I've written 5 books. My plan is to write 10 books by age 55. I'm 51. I'm actually working on my completing book number 6 this year. So I believe I'm on task for that particular goal. And I sell all my books straight from me. You can purchase them from me. Reach me through Facebook at Bob M. Hotep, and you can get any of my books. My latest 2 books, which I will talk about. My latest one is Incarcerated, and this one is a poetry book that it's composed of poems that were written while I was incarcerated. Yeah, I see you got your copy, Brother Kofi. Yeah. While I was incarcerated here in the state of Maryland. And these poems that I wrote displays the emotional evolution that I went through. And he also served as a release valve for the built up tension that was created from the oppressive environment. But these poems got me through, just writing these poems. And also I'm the author of African Manhood in the 21st Century, which I think is a really, really great book.
Great book.
My reason for writing this book is I wanted to present something that I believe that brothers can look at and take from to just get a little bit tighter. My reason for that, because I grew up in the 80s, and during the time period when I grew up, you lived by your word. Your word meant something. You didn't say one thing and do the other thing. You didn't do all the flim flams and stuff we see that's going on. You got your copy, Kofi. So so I put this book together because it's real sickening to see the type of shenanigans that take place amongst our people. It burns me up to my soul, especially amongst individuals say they men, right? So I put together what I believe was a standard, what I think that men should be, and I'll say it very simple. I believe that all men, all Black men, African men, should be in some capacity working for the sovereignty of African people. That is my position. I stand in that position. I don't think it's enough for us just to go to work and come home and kick our feet up, right? I believe if you do go to work, if you come home, you need to still put some time in that community. I believe that if the community is unsafe, then your home is unsafe. And I believe that our men are not visible enough in the communities. And many of those of us are the ones who profess to know this knowledge. We're just not visible enough. And that is a problem. We got to become more visible. We got to be out there. And I believe that when we become more visible, we can begin to deter some of the chaos that's taking place in our community. So those are some of the things that I kind of addressed in the African Manhood in the 21st Century. My other books I wrote, it's an urban philosophy book on politics and urban struggle. And what I do in that book, I just talk about what I believe could help a person be effective at doing the particular work that most of us say we want to do out here in terms of pushing our people forward. Oftentimes we attempt, I'll give an example. Oftentimes I see organizations attempt to work together and then they just fall apart. And then, the relationship is no good after that. They were just unable to work together. And our inability to work together is linked to the fact that on a lot of levels, most of us, not necessarily those of us here, but most of our people are emotionally underdeveloped. And we don't talk about that enough. We don't deal with that enough. They are just incapable of just being in healthy relationship. And we oftentimes assume because they're articulate, eloquent, and have information, we assume they're developed, but they're not developed. So that play a big part and things falling apart. So I'll stop there, and I hopefully I can just weigh in on anything else as we get into the meat of this discussion. And once again, all of my books, you can purchase them directly from me. You can reach me through Instagram or Facebook, or you can just, my email is ifatu@gmail.com. You can reach me through there. You can purchase any of my books.
All right. Appreciate it, Brother Barbara. We'll go with Peanut Head, Mr. Peanut Head. Brother Sean.
Brother Sean.
Go ahead. All the embarrassing, like you be
take your head off. Take your head off and turn around.
It's gone.
Take your head off and turn around. Come on.
Go ahead, brother.
And my name is Sean. Some people might know me as Eret. Some other people know me by Sean P. I'm a member of this issue, the Masi Warrior Clan, and Kofi Piesie research team. Been active for several years in all the groups. Several publications from a collective body of work with the SESU all the way up into our recent works with the Kofi Piesie research team, which is volume 5, which we're working on. Individually, I may have about 1, 2, 3, what is it, 4 books or something like that. But collectively about 10 or 11 that I participated in. That's a little bit about me. I'm just here to give Kofi a hard time and to make sure that technically he knows how to manage all the nuances of the internet and the shows. So please make sure that you go out and support the Mandingo.
Later.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct. I am Kofi's translator. When he says a particular word, I know exactly what the word means. I've studied his language for quite some time. I am fluent in Mississippi, backwood, because Sam is on here, but Sam doesn't pronounce words like Kofi. They're from 2 different parts of Mississippi, and and I saw his J hat, so I know he's got a level of understanding that Kofi doesn't possess because he's closer to Lorman. So he's an Alcorn fan or something like that, but whatever, that's another topic. But yeah, that's one of my many job titles.
Okay. All right, that's Sean. Oh, let them know where they can get all the publications and where can they find if they want something you did collectively or you did individually. Where can they find?
Whether it be collectively or individually, you could find. This is interesting. So if it's with the Kofi Piesie research team and individually, it's on Same Tree, Different Branch. Collectively, you can find Killmonger's Corner Volume 1, Volume 2 on Amazon. Has the meta been deciphered? Has the writing script, y'all? Has it been deciphered? Okay, it's still out there. It's just a lot of people up, but it's coming back around. You can get that on Amazon. And of course, Saber Wujah will mention that a little bit later. And I'm trying to think what else is out there in the streets.
Hold on, Brother Sean. What Sars taught me, I think you forgot to mention, that's a really good book. If you have family members that are anti-science, don't understand the importance of vaccines, you put together some information where you can sit and have a good conversation with family and protect them and put them in a different position, because there are a lot of people in our community that are of the opinion that vaccines don't exist, or you have some people from the camp where you can simply have a certain diet or just make certain raw juices, and that will effectively deal with COVID or any other major virus. So I had to interject that real quick.
No, you're correct. That book has gotten a lot of attention by some people, and I'm proud of that accomplishment. And like you, I got a book on Islam as well, but I didn't want to make this about my books. You know what I'm saying? It's about y'all and the Mandingo Theory. So that's what I really wanted to make it about.
All right, Brother Wujah, Iri Ma'at.
Seba.
It would help if I unmute myself.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, so yeah, ETM Hotep and I always say welcome. I am appreciative of being welcomed here on the panel of other esteemed authors, and some of you I'm meeting for the first time, so this is really good. And so I feel like I'm at home. This is where I like to be. People who write, scribe. So that's where I am. But my name is Wujah Minib Eri Ma'at, and by profession, I'm a computer programmer. network administrator, graphic designer, web developer. But for this conversation, I've written a book or two, and also, you know, my other name is MC Iron Lung, by the way. Everybody knows that. But yeah, so I've written a book or two. The book that my first book that I wrote is actually a textbook, and it is a result of me teaching the ancient Egyptian language and writing system. And I was teaching for a while, face-to-face, in-person classes, and I found myself hunting down and utilizing different books, different resources. And so I decided to consolidate and collect resources and use my experience back then to develop a textbook for my actual courses and classes that I was doing. And so that was the inspiration, and it resulted in the beginners Seshmeter Netcher beginners book. And so that was my first book in 2015. Released that in March 2015. And so I've been teaching the language. My focus, for those who may not know, my focus has been ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, Kemet, and I guess my philosophy throughout all of these years is that in order to gain knowledge or become intimate with any culture, be it Kemet or be it any culture on the planet, you have to do so by way of its language. And so I learned that early on. And so that's what inspired me to actually teach the ancient Egyptian language, because I was interested in ancient Egypt. And I saw a lot of other people interested. And so that, to me, that was the best method in terms of learning about the culture, because it's a dead culture. So that's what inspired me to learn the language and then transmit what I've learned and get involved in teaching. So that's where I got started as far as that goes. Another book did a collaboration with the other Seshu Mani Meta Netcher members, which is, as a matter of fact, I have these books here. So this, I see, and it's probably blurred it out. Nah, it's not going to show it. But I see Amin Matra is holding his up. Second book was a collaboration with the Seshu Mani Meta Netcher, which is Has the Egyptian Hieroglyphic Writing System Been Deciphered? Now, that book is a rebuttal to Walter Williams. And so in a rebuttal, it's twofold. It's a teaching book, it's a textbook, and it's a teaching moment. And we utilize the claims that were made by Walter Williams that the hieroglyphic writing system has not been deciphered to go ahead and teach, one, to refute the claims that it hasn't been deciphered, but then also teach the writing system, which is part of the learning process. When you learn the ancient Egyptian language, you're learning two things at once. You have to learn how the writing system works and operates first, which is mainly what beginners classes are involved with. Then you have to learn the morphology and syntax, which we call grammar. And so that book serves as, explaining the decipherment process, but also going over the writing system, what a writing system is, and in particular, the ancient Egyptian writing system. So that was the second book. The current book that I'm working on is a full-on textbook that will include all information about the writing system, also the morphology and syntax of the language, which is the book that you see on my screen on this background in white, which is the Ancient Egyptian Orthography and Grammar book that I'm currently working on. And that is, I have that dated to be released, to be published in the first quarter of next year. And so I've been writing that for quite a while, but we know the pandemic hit. Priorities had to shift around. I'm sure all of you all have experienced, all of you are writers on the panel have experienced that. If you're in the middle of writing and you put a project down, when you pick it up, you have to kind of relearn what you have done and your frame of mind and where you left off. And that's a process, especially on a book like this one that I'm currently working on. I have to actually re-engage myself and my thoughts so that it won't seem odd, when I continue to develop the book. So hopefully I'll have that out first quarter of next year. And that's pretty much it, until we round back and get into the methodology of writing and things like that.
So where can they find all the publications that Wu Jai?
Yeah. See, I wasn't paying attention. So you can find all of these books on Amazon.com, as well as seshmedunecher.com, as well as sableuniversity.com. All right. So that's the website, seshmedunecher.com. And by the way, for those who don't know, the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic writing system is called indigenously Seshmedunecher. So that's why you hear me say it a lot, and that's the name of the website, seshmedunecher.com. And then the language is called Rani Kemet. So you'll hear, as you see on the white book in the background, it's the orthography and grammar. So it's dealing with Seshmedunecher and Rani Kemet, the writing system and the oral or vocalized language. All right. But those are the websites that you can pick up the material.
You and brother Sarim Hotep are putting in great works, great research methodology to revive the language and introduce people to traditional African principles, the history, we can't emphasize enough how much quality work you two are putting in. I'm definitely grateful for the work that you and everybody on this panel, but I just had to give you your flowers while you were here, because it inspired me a lot in writing my text, you working with me and teaching me.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, and I was gonna wait for the round back, but I would definitely like to give flowers out to everybody on the panel. Pretty much, I have text from Unc Benu. I know he hasn't spoken yet. To yourself, Amamat Ra, and also the brother Black Panther, Sean, and even Chavis hasn't spoken yet. But I guess we'll get more into that, because I may even have some questions for y'all. In some from some of you all's texts.
All right, no doubt. Before we get to Unc Banu, Donnie Williams, I have not, I think you asked me before, I have not looked at the movie yet. And I've tried to make it my business to look at it last night. And I keep saying I'm gonna look at it because I can pay for it on YouTube and look at the Mandingo movie, but I hadn't seen the film yet. But I have pulled a couple of clips from off of YouTube, and I did on my pre commercial that I did. Some of those scenes in that commercial comes from the Mandingo movie, but I hadn't seen the movie yet. I'm gonna have to check it out. I know it's an old movie, but let's get into Unc Banu, my brother Unc Banu. Can you introduce yourself for people that may not know who you are, and tell us about your publications and where can we find those publications?
All right. Peace, life, prosperity, and health to everybody watching, to the esteemed panel. And congratulations, Brother Kofi, on the publishing and release of your latest work. It's an honor and a privilege to be here as always, and to be amongst so much of the family that I'm familiar with, and meeting some of the new family for the first time as well. My name is Unc Benu. I am the founder, chief priest of an organization called Hinin Su, and also the co-founder of an organization called Repatriation. And I've written and published 3 books to date. And currently I'm working along with my wife and a brother by the name of Daoud Pharaoh Knuckles on a series, a historical fiction series called Saga City, Bloodlines of Kemet, which currently we're publishing through Amazon Kindle's new platform, Kindle Vella, which is an episodic publishing platform. So, I don't know if you're familiar with like Wattpad and things of that nature. So essentially you publish your book in episodes, right? You publish your works in episodes to kind of cater to, the new social media attention span, right, of this day and time. So that's some of the things that we've done to date, and I have some more works, in the works that we'll be releasing soon. But just want to say thanks. If you're interested in my work, I've got, let's see, one of them here with me. It's the only one I could get my hands on, in time. This is my book, Remembering Gosser. And, this book is a work in reconstruction of the traditional spiritual system of ancient Kemet. And, this particular book, I, took maybe about 5 years to actually complete. And it was important for me, just in being a student of Kemet and being affiliated with, some of the other organizations that took on the work of reconstructing the spiritual system of Kemet. I wanted to further their work and then also make some corrections from what I saw, up until this point. Most were taking like a syncretic approach to, reconstructing the system, pulling from different cultures and peoples outside of, Africa, outside of Kemet, and very little actual focus on like the primary literature and texts dealing with Kemet as you find Kemet for the purpose of applying these teachings and principles today, especially for our people. So that was the task that I took on. It involved actually going to the Nile Valley and doing actual field research, going to the temples, and documenting and, taking the time to learn the language, to be able to deal with the text when I got there. And, that's part of the thing that I admire about many of, the panelists here. We sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, sweat equity, as they say, to, write and publish these things for the edification of our people, the liberation of our people. And, I look forward to, going further in this build as we discuss your work, Brother Kofi, and, get into the subject of the importance of writing. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. We got the last three, Brother Sutek, Chavis, and then T'Challa. And then what we'll do is for time strict, I was gonna read a few inserts. I'm gonna just talk about my book and why I wrote the book real briefly. And I may read an insert, I may not read an insert, and then we'll go into the discussion at hand, because I really want to talk about this discussion. But I was going to read the article, but I may not read the article, just kind of briefly talk about what I read, and then we can kind of build on that. Well, go ahead, brother.
So are you saying that T'Challa, Sutek, and Chavis aren't as important as everyone else?
No, what you talking about? I'm telling them they can go. I'm saying after they. That's
the way
what
it sounded to me. It's the way it sounded to me.
Man, let me go real fast because I'm at work.
Peanut, go ahead, Chavis. Shut up, Peanut.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, I'm Travis McCray. I'm part of Kofi Piesie research team. My book is Religious Belief Revisited, the Heseb edition. All it is a resource for people that I compiled through my experience, just collecting research, and I felt like I fool with the Kofi Piesie research team. We write books, so Kofi inspired me and motivated me to write a book on something, and I spent a lot of time going back and forth with people on religion. So I basically put my position and my stance and everything I know in that book, and it can be found on Same Tree, Different Branch, and that's pretty much it. I'm also in Spear Masters, and I'm in Volume 4. Gonna be in Volume 5. I got another book I'm working on with the Heseb Warriors, gonna be called consciousness of Afrocentric intellectuals. That's in the working. But that's it for me. I'm at work though, so I'm gonna be quiet.
I appreciate it, Brother Chav. Appreciate it. Brother Satepara, and then, not Lord Satepara, Brother Sutek, and then Brother T'Challa.
How you do us, man? You can't even get our name. First we last, then we can't even get our names right.
Y'all came on late.
Yeah, I did come on late. I was on Negro time. I ain't gonna hold you. But what's up, man? Peace to everybody. Shea Alafia. It's your brother Sutek, member of the Kofi Piesie research team. I just want to big up my brother Kofi, man. He's been working hard. He's always been working hard. It's many a nights we have to tell this dude, man, get some sleep. You know what I'm saying? Because he goes so hard with the information, putting this stuff out for y'all for free. You know what I'm saying? Let alone the books and the publications that he works on to give y'all this information for a small fee. So yeah, man, he's always been an inspiration to me. All the brothers have, honestly, they've all inspired me in one way or the other. I love these brothers. I talk to them literally every day. But Kofi, man, especially Kofi and Sean, man, they really inspired me to keep going, keep doing what I'm doing. Cause it's like at times I be wanting to say, man, F this. You know what I'm saying? Like it people don't understand the time, the effort that it takes to put into this thing that we do, how underappreciated that we are, the time and the quality time that we take away from our family, our friends, our social lives to give y'all what we give y'all to do this thing that we do. And I feel like it's very underappreciated, but man, I'm just here to give my brother big ups, man. Hopefully everybody pick up the Mandingo Theory. I am a part of volume 1, 2, 3, and 4, and will be a part of 5, this upcoming one that we are working on producing right now. Also, I'm working on a novel. I'm taking it to a different place, trying to inspire Black people in different genres to want to read, to get back to that reading that could take you from here to anywhere across the world or to a whole nother world. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be urban crime fiction or a science fiction novel or a high fantasy, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to be able to inspire Black folks to read all across the board. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, man, we just here to give Brother Kofi his flowers, man, and hopefully y'all go to Same Tree, Different Branch and pick up this book. Oh yeah, I am also have translator on my resume. I translate the Rodney, Mississippi for my brother Kofi. So when you see him live and you see us translating in the chat, that's what it is, man. Peace and love.
And where can they find the publications that you are involved in? Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4.
Volume 1, 2, 3, 4. The one that's coming, 5, and anything that I produce personally will be on sametreedifferentbranch.com, man, every time.
All right. Brother T'Challa Bongaro.
Peace, everybody. Man, I'm proud of y'all, and especially our good brother Kofi, as Sutek was saying. Been away for quite some time. It's been a rough patch for me this last year, even up until this last week. But I won't deal with too much negativity. I just want to say that I'm really proud of you, bro. Like they say, you go hard 24/7. Like, this man does not sleep. He checks in, the brothers, they check up on me, and, I have to put my energy in a place that I'm not, bringing negativity to them. Because like I say, it's been rough. But to see these brothers still pushing forward, it's a reality check to get it in gear and make sure that volume 5 is popping. I just want to say real quick about Mandingo Theory. That part of West Africa that is being dealt with in this book is where I specialize in. I just came from a class teaching the babies. I play West African drums. I am very much versed in that area of West Africa and West African culture, off the coast of West Africa, what used to be called the Malian Empire. And, you know, the Manding people, the Malinke people, we have a rich tradition. And I say we because that blood runs in my veins. And most of us African Americans, we have some Manding running through our veins. It's a very important part of who we are here in America. A lot of our roots, a lot of what you get out of the first like Black church, you don't get praise and worship without African drum and dance. You don't get an understanding of just how to be, how we are in this country without the understanding that comes from the Malinke people, and that tradition. I already know that this book is fire, you know, and, you know, everybody on this panel, pretty much I respect. Even, you know, there's a couple faces that I don't recognize, but there's many of my teachers on this panel, obviously the brothers on the team, but there's some other teachers that I see of mine on this panel. We got Sister LaDosha Wright. We got, you know, all of these great, great, wonderful minds. Sean, you know, Brother Ujau, of course, who's responsible for, you know, me even learning how to read the sesh myself. I just have the utmost respect for everyone that's on this panel. It's beautiful to see that you all come together to do this and to come together for our brother Kofi. We all know he has the biggest heart in the world, and we all love him dearly. So I just want to take this time to personally thank Brother Kofi and everyone on this panel. Even though I've been away, you guys have been still positive and keeping me going. And I'm here to say that I'm back and I'm ready to get back in full effect. So, you know, let's do it.
Right. He's also a part of all 4 volumes, Spirits of the Marcy, from Spirits to Pen, Spiritual Comeback, and Spirit Masters. You can find all 4 of those volumes on Same Tree Different Branch Publishing.com. That's our website where we distribute all of our publications on. He's also going to be a part of volume 5, which I can't remember the name of it right now. I think we are the Spirits of Victory. We are the Spirits of Victory. So every publication we deal with the spirit, and maybe later, maybe when we put out the next publication, we'll talk about why we choose every publication with the spirit and how important the spirit were at that time. All right, now that we got everybody out of the way, man, that was kind of long, man, but I'm glad everybody was able to get what they are, and hope everybody, you know,
Hey,
go ahead.
We forgot something. Shout out to Brother Jehudi, my aunt in the chat. He's played a big role in a lot of the artwork and introductions in a couple of our works too. So yeah, we can't forget that. We can't, you know, he's been a major contributor to moving our works forward, especially our children's books and book covers.
That's right. He shout out to Brother Jehudi, my aunt. Before we got the publishing company started and became a one-stop shop, Brother Jehudi was the one that was doing our book covers in the beginning. And then later when we transitioned to a one-stop shop where we started doing logos, started doing book covers, we started doing arts and graphic for clothing, and we started publishing books. Started a publishing company. Brother Jehudi, my aunt, did a lot of our stuff. And that our children book, One Night Before Bed by Inherit Sean, he contributed greatly to that one. And my children book, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland, he also created the characters for my book as well. Sister Kalawa, he's created her, and I can't even, it's been 2 years since I wrote the book. I can't remember the father's name, but shout out to Brother Jehudi. But like I said, for time's sake, I'll just, we're here too for, to help me celebrate Mandingo Theory, Castration of Africans, and a Sex-crazed Conceptualization. For the time's sake, I probably won't read anything out of here, but I'll just explain.
No. If we don't do nothing else, bro, you gotta read it.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna read. I'll read chapter 2. But I got inspired by this. I did a presentation and small presentation on this channel, and I was fascinated by the psychology behind this theory from the Europeans as well as the Arabs. So in this book, I talk about the sub-Saharan slave trade. So I talk about the sub-Saharan slave trade. So what I'll do is I'll do this real quick, and then I'll read something real quick. But chapter 1 is the trans-Saharan slave trade. So I talk about the trans-Saharan slave trade. We always talk about the Atlantic slave trade, and we always give the Arabs a pass. We always give them a pass, and they was very detrimental in enslaving us as well. And so I talk about the Saharan slave trade in chapter 1. Chapter 2, I talk about the trans-Saharan slave trade in chapter 2. So I talk about those things, and then I talk about castration, because as I started to do my research, and we all know about the Atlantic slave trade, we all know about the sub-Saharan slave trade, right? But there are some practices within those slave trades that I found, that I wanted to study the psychology behind the Arabs and behind the Europeans. Why the Europeans have these theories? Why is this practice of castration you see in the sub-Saharan slave trade by the Arabs, and then you see castration in the Atlantic slave trade? And through the castration, you also see castration has something to deal with sex. And so there's a lot of horrific things that are happening behind sex. So sex, was used for dominatrix reasons, for empowering the white European woman, which I talk about in this book. Also, it was a money maker for the European because they passed their colleagues around the enslaver passed their colleagues around, but also the women also had brothels where they were put what they were called these mandingos with these West African men who had these big phalluses, that they would come and grab these phalluses of these West African men, and before they would go off. So sex was used, this practice of castration, slave breeding, sex slaves, these were some of the practice behind, so I wanted to talk about the sex practices behind these Atlantic slave trades. So I deal with a lot of things with slave breeding. So I have a whole chapter where I of slave narratives. So you won't get it directly from me. You will get it from slaves who actually escaped and was interviewed, and these interviews was transcribed. And I tell you where I get sources for where I transcribe these interviews from escaped slaves and also slaves who were free. So they are telling their experiences on the plantation, and a lot of it deals with sex. It deals with rape. It deals with forcing other male and female slaves to have sex with each other, causing contention with other slaves who may have been friends with each other, grabbing their wives and making their husbands watch while their friends have sex with these sex. So I deal with a lot of those things. So castration. So I talk about castration, which there's really no origin behind castration when we talk about animals or humans, but there are documentation. So I talk about the documentations in Sumeria. So we talk about the highly documentations of men being castrated in Sumeria and other different cultures following along later on, the Romans, the Greeks, and etc. So that's the chapter 3. Chapter 4 is slave breeding, sexual abuse, and these are the slave narratives that the slaves are telling you their experiences. Chapter 4 deals with the Mandingo Theory, and the Mandingo Theory was developed in the mind of Europeans, and these Europeans believe that these West African men, or Africans in general, that we was primitive people and we was overly sexual people. So the things behind their psychology that they developed was that they had to protect their white women from these African slaves, because they believed that African slaves, women and men, was overly sexual. So they would rape the women because they said these are the theories that they came in, because the women wanted to be raped because they was over sexual. And a lot of these individuals who came into Africa, seeing how that a lot of these places that they went, that these women was half naked. We have to understand that Africa is a tropical continent. You know, the sun is close to the equator, so it's hot there. So a lot of times you won't see clothing, a lot of clothing on a lot of our people over there, specifically in certain areas. So the European developed in their minds through their psychology that this is what the African woman wanted, was to be raped. They wanted to be raped. And through them being raped, they neglected, which I talk about in chapter 6, I talk about sex between the white woman and the African male slaves. White slave owners' wives also raped West African men, because they was neglected, because it was quite familiar, you know what I'm saying, for the enslaver to rape African men, and rape African women, which has been documented, you know, throughout history of them raping these women, right? And so the women was feeling neglected, because now they're not getting broke off by the European, by their husband, because they are continuously raping the African woman. So now the slave owner woman, which I talk about how she begins to empower herself, you know what I'm saying, because we understand that, you know, in African culture, not African culture, but in European culture, and we believe in the same thing. A lot of the stuff that we follow, especially a lot of us, you know, we come out of the churches, we believe that God is above man and man is above woman. So in the book of Bereshit, or in the book of Genesis, we talk about that the woman, we are in sin for the woman. So within the first of the book, it demonized the woman, because a lot of those people who wrote those specific texts are European men. So their perspective on the women is different. So they treated their women very, very thing. Even I talk about how when a woman, a daughter, her slaves and even her property is passed on to the men. After it was a law that was in fact that once a white woman got married to a white man, she will fork over her slave that was given to her by her father, and her property will be given to the man. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we in this context of now we believe that man is the head of the household. This is a man's world. These are rhetorics that we speak of that has nothing to do with our culture. So I talk about that in chapter 5. Chapter 6 is just basically a summary behind the entire chapter. So I summarize and I go a little bit deeper into some of those brothels, some of the psychology behind the Arabs having sex slaves. Women were sex slaves, and the beginning of the Arab slave trade, you had more women that were slaves before, and more women that were slaves until you get to like the 11th century. And then you start to have more men start to outnumber the women when they started, you know, using them for work labor. And then I talk about how the psychology behind the European and the Arab with the castration, that they believe that if they castrated an African man, that this will make the castrated African man more stronger. It will make him more faster and make him work more efficient. So you see those practices within the Sahara slave trade, which I deal with. And then you see that with the European slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade of the castration, and then the sex and utilizing those different sex practices within the slave trade. So I gloss on that. So I'll read this real quick, and I'll read from chapter 3. I'll just deal with castration real quick. Let me go here, and I ain't gonna read but a page, and then we'll get into it. So chapter 3 is castration. So at the end of the last chapter, we briefly touched on castration. And in this chapter, I I will go further into the effects, the origins, and the practice of castration. Hopefully at the end of this chapter, we will better understand this horrible practice. The word castration is often been traced back to the myth above beavers, whose Latin name is castor. Beavers are hunted and harvest sweat-smelling castrums and a scent glands near the roots of the penis. Purposely, the corner beaver would bite off his scrotum and toss it to the pursuer to end the hunt. But there is a significant flaw in this story because beavers as in many other water-living mammals, but in a contrast to primates, the testes do not descend but remain in the belly cavity. So there is no scrotum to be bite off. So this is like a Midville story of saying that how the origin of castration was things. How it was originated, and during that period. And I'll stop. I'm not going to read any further. And then I get into the whole thing about the origins of where where the heavily human castration was documented, and some of where it started with animals and then it verses off into humans. But they saying this is where it originated. Beavers have something glands where their testicles at, and you can go and look these things up. They will hunt these beavers for the glances. These glances, they believe that these glances gave off a scent. So they will use these scents for like perfume, but they will also use this glands and burn this glands, and they will use these glances. They believe that it would, the burning of the glands was a remedy for headaches. It was a remedy for other different things. It was, it was like a medicine thing for headaches and other different things that they would use, and they would use these glances, for perfume and etc. So I talk about those things a little bit further in that chapter. I may touch on something else, but let's talk about the discussion at hand. I'm not going to read from the article, but I want everybody to kind of dig into the discussion of, and I'll just start it off. I believe, it's not that I believe, I know there is, there's been in 2020. There has been a talk of the critical race theory coming back up, right? A lot of people think that the critical race theory, it got real popular in 2020 during the pandemic, and people think that's when it sprung up. But this started in the 70s and it started in the 80s, right? And there's many books written on the critical race theory and why they created the critical race theory and etc. So now we're seeing that they're trying to ban the critical race theories and things that pertain to the critical race theories and things that they wanted politicians well as dealing with law, well as dealing with economics, or well as dealing with education. So they deal with different varieties when we talk about the critical race theory. So we're going to just only talk about education right now because they deal with the educational thing as well. So now there is a thing that now they're trying to ban. And right now, like I said, you got Iowa, you got Oklahoma, you got Tennessee, and Iowa, if I hadn't mentioned that. Those are some of the ones now, even Mississippi, where I am now, they're trying to pass a bill. They're trying to eradicate our history out of the textbooks, our history, the contributions that our ancestors did, and even the things that, the horrific things that their forefathers did. They're trying to eradicate that. And I believe that in order for us to move forward, we have to learn about the past so we won't make those same mistakes in the past. We can learn from the past. So they're trying to eradicate everything to make them more comfortable. So now when your child starts to go to Black economics, there might not be a Black economics. When we talk about world history, there might not be anything about us or the things that they did when we talk about when your kids go to world history. So I just like in the times when Dr. Ben and John Henry Clark and Asa Hilliard and those other great scholars at a time where there was no internet and there was no Black-owned mom and pop bookstores, it was very vital for them at that time. So in that surgence, you've seen a lot of those authors begin to write a lot of books So they pushed out a lot of books that was very instrumental to all of our growth of those on the panel, because I know a lot of people on the panel has recited, you know what I'm saying, and gave honor to a lot of our ancestors who came and contributed these great works for our growth, and we build on to their works and expand their growth and their works, and even corrected some of their works, you know, out of respect, because we understand that when some of these books was written, they was written in the early 20th century, you know. So so I just want to get some of y'all thoughts, man. I want everybody, you know, everybody on the panel, if they can participate, man, how important it is at this time for us to be, you know what I'm saying, important for us to be writing and telling our own story and telling it from our own perspective.
Peace. Can I say something just real quick?
Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
All righty. I'll let other people answer. I just want to recommend a video for not only the panel, but for the listening audience. It's a lecture done by the late Dr. Asa Hilliard III at an ASCAC conference. And the title of the video that you can search on YouTube is Attack on Africans Writing Their Own History. It is Attack on Africans Writing Their Own History. Dr. Asa Hilliard. And, you know, it's just an excellent lecture altogether, just overall. But one of the things that he includes towards the end of the conversation is this notion that we have to write, and that although there has been a number of scholars who have approached certain issues and topics, we're really kind of far behind when it comes to, you know, producing our works and telling our history and the like. And so the overall lecture is going to deal with a lot of the propaganda and the methods they use to try to discourage or devalue, you know, African scholarship, and then ways to combat that. And of course, one of them is writing. So I'm just recommending, it's an hour long too, the lecture by Asa Hilliard, Attack on Africans Writing Their Own History. And that's it.
Okay. Well, Sean, you had some, I see you had your hand up like you was in church.
No, I watched the lecture. I put the link in the Zoom chat, in this chat right here in the Zoom, and also on YouTube.
Okay, no doubt. I'm gonna have to check that out too. I done seen a couple of Asa Hilliard videos. I hadn't ran across that one. Well, let's go to one of the sisters, and then we'll go back to none of the brothers. Let's go to Sister LaDosha. Let's go to my great sister LaDosha. What's your take on?
Wow, that my response is like super duper huge. First thing I want to say is that as an indie author, when I go out to sell the book at various venues for authors, I'm here to tell you there's no representation of Black people like in the mainstream. To date, I can still go to a place and sell my book, and I would be the only Black person there. And I'm just like, where y'all at? So to be on this panel and to see all of this intelligence, we have to be out more into the community. I think that the drawback with the social media is that we get into these clusters of our people and we forget what Dr. Amos Wilson and John Henry Clark. I remember him coming to Cleveland State University while I was in college. They really did, leave us with instructions to be very intentional and deliberate. And whatever we decided to do, whether we wrote a book or just, like I was an outreach worker. So I think that, all of these writings that I like, this panel is like jaw dropping. I mean, totally jaw dropping. And the mainstream is looking to be diversified. You got to watch out for the media because they're giving us their narrative, you know what I'm saying? But when you go out into the world, other people from other ethnicities and backgrounds, they want to hear from us. They're looking for our story. Before that, we couldn't do that, but we can do this now. So even though we're on Amazon and we're in our little spaces, go out into the communities and take your books, and they buy in volumes. Like I went to Atlanta to promote the documentary, and I was giving away some books. Now I promoted myself on YouTube, on social media. I received 3 phone calls to come to 3 different places that's totally white to promote the documentary, buy my books, in bulk, and be able to tell our story. So we should continue to write, and we should go out into the world and diversify. And where they're saying our books are banned, I don't think book banning is going to work. Book banning just makes your books sell. So my children's book is one of those books that skirts a book that they would ban because of the way it's put together. But when they do that, it just makes people want to buy your books even more. So I think that we should continue to write. We should definitely, give it from an African or a Black person's perspective. And I think this is Marv, what you said about the English language betrays us, dude, that is so like effing on point. It's pathetic. But this is the language that we have. So let's use it, and let's go out there and penetrate these communities, because they can't come into the hood. Let's just be honest. They're not going to come down and see me here. Cleveland Heights used to be a suburb, but when Black people inundate a neighborhood, it becomes the hood. So they're not going to come to where we are, but they will receive us. And I think that, and the white children and the white teenagers, they could see us up close and personal, and we can begin to break down some of those barriers, or just people from different walks of life. And this is not always a Black or white issue, but I think as indie authors with this level of intelligence, like I want to buy everybody's books. This is very edifying for our self-esteem, our self-worth, but we've got to get out into the communities.
Let's hear from another brother, and then I want to hear from give the sisters a chance to speak. We want not to overbearing our lovely sisters, man. But what's y'all take? How y'all feeling about what's going on for them trying to ban our history and our ancestors' contribution out of the educational system, man? How important, can somebody break it down? How important it is, for
peace. I wanted to say, with the emergence of critical race theory and its popularity and its being attacked in some states and history being rewritten or things omitted, I'm reminded of John Henry Clarke's quote about history, where he says it's not everything, but it's a starting point. History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is a compass that they use to find themselves on the map of human geography. It tells them where they are, but more importantly, what they must be. And I always keep that in mind when attacks on African scholarship, publications, history, and information that is vital to our people is minimized, marginalized, and cast aside. So it's very important that we continue the works that we continue because of what Kofi just mentioned in those states. History and writing, also as an author, you become immortal. And those that you that have followed me have heard me say this before, but once you become an author and you put your publications out and you get that ISBN number and you put it into a store and it's being sold, you become immortal, because whether it's 30 years, 100 years, 150 years, whatever the amount of time has passed goes by, somebody can come by and say, oh man, I found this book on manhood. What was Baba Imhotep talking about way back in 2022? You know, what was Brother Sean talking about with the COVID thing? I heard about that virus, man, but I don't really know what happened, man. And what were they talking about in 2022? What was the religious beliefs revisited, you know, by Brother Chavis? You know, what was he talking about back then? I mean, look how long we're talking about the Egyptians. Egyptians been gone. We're talking about thousands and thousands of years ago, and we're still talking about the writing that they put out in their books in stone. So look, don't sell yourself short. Your publications, your work can still be talked about years and years after, you know, you have left this earthly plane. So it's very vital and important that we continue to put out this information for our people to glean from, because they're going to be the ones left behind having to deal with some of the ignorance and rhetoric that come from some of these groups that want to erase our history.
Okay.
And may I recommend, I can give you guys, especially the brothers, I'm going to tell you who will receive you guys immediately and buy lots of books. Foster agencies that provide foster care, youth programs. I mean, these people have like lots and lots of grant dollars to really support us as indie authors. So look in your communities, foster placement, adoptive parents, transracial adoption, any type of community outreach program. They have monies available. Hospitals have monies available to have us come in as speakers. They're always looking. So if you want to get into those museums, I got into Kent State University Museum. Museums would love you guys' books. I mean, they would buy them in bulks. Churches, believe it or not, churches, my book is through Ingram Sparks. So you get into that big catalog if you print through Ingram Sparks, and people buy your books from all over the world. Not often, but they will buy them. So I encourage everybody to look into those places to do presentations and sell your books, but just make sure it's grammatically correct.
All right. Let's hear from another sister. Let's Sister Carter, and then we'll go to Baba Imhotep. I'm interested in his thoughts, and then we'll go to Sister Emiket, and then we'll go to we'll see.
Okay, Sister Ladosha, there a lot of states. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
You hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. Is it me or is she freezing up? Is it me? Or
She breaking up bad.
Yeah,
you breaking up real bad.
Yeah,
Okay. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so representation is one thing. Access to what you have is another thing. I feel like with things that, like, you know, you guys have textbooks and things I heard, those type of things need to be addressed or either brought to the school system as accessible. I feel like if you go to the school boards, and you say, hey, we don't have representation in class, could this be something that we introduce to our young Black children? I'm gonna keep it quick. So next thing is relatability. People have to be able to relate. So depending on where you're going to bring this kind of information, you have to make sure it's still somewhat for different type of audiences, different levels of education, okay? Another thing, influence. It's important that we write books and we put out the information there and put out the narrative, because it provides the influence that young Black America is going to need. Another thing is progress. If we put out the information, this is what creates our progress and keeps us from going back into cycles over and over and over again, having to reteach. And no, it needs to get started, and it needs to be a movement that is consistent. Last thing is that I feel like when we write and when we get these things out there and we make noise and we get active like we should be and join together instead of, bickering, arguing, or making confusion, I feel like that is what is going to shape the minds, shape the progress, shape the next 50, 100 years. It's going to shape a lot of things. Even if there's small progress, keep going forward with it. That's how I think about it.
All right. Appreciate it, sis. What about you, Barbara and Hotep? I want to, hear your thoughts on everything, man.
Yes. Peace and blessings once again, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for your comments. They was refreshing. So my position, to your point about us writing, I'm of the mindset that Black people should inundate every single industry that we can think of. I think every industry that we can imagine, we need to be inundating that industry with our intelligence. So I say that to say, yes, we should write, and we should write quality works for the future. We should write for posterity. We should think that particular way, because we do want to, as Black Panther talked about, we want to break the threshold of immortality, and you do that through by putting your soul into the works that you produce for the world. In terms of the terminologies, the concepts, and the ideas that white people come up with, I don't even like to indulge in talking about. I believe our primary task is to introduce to the world everything Black. I think that if we're going to wage this struggle on the multiple levels that we must wage this struggle on, we must begin to choose the battlefield. And we can't always do battle within the concepts and the frameworks and the ideologies that they have created, because we consistently do battle inside their concepts, their ideas, their frameworks, their ideologies. We in terms limit ourselves and we shackle ourselves. And I think this is the mistake that we have made historically as a people. We need to discard all their ideas and concepts and usher in our own ideas and concepts. And if we don't truly know all of our language, we can go back and we can pull most of our concepts. They are there. We can go in Europe, we can go in Congo, we can go in Kiswahili, we can go get concepts and use those concepts. This is the basis of what Dr. Asahil talked about. He used the terminology and he said conceptual incarceration. He realized that a long time ago that we were just incarcerated inside of their concepts. And we still do. We hold our conversations within the framework of the concepts that they come up with. We use their terminology, their language. I don't even like using it. Let's just throw it all to the side. Like, what should we be doing as a people that's going to push us? How should we think? For me, everything got to be Black. I don't believe in using nobody else's stuff. If they come out of Asia, leave it in Asia. You know what I'm saying? We have produced enough stuff that can carry us deep into the future. It can rescue our culture. It can reconstruct our culture and reimagine our culture. That's what our ancestors left us. And all we got to do is do the work and go do it. And most of you have already started doing that work, and you are pushing that work out there. So when it comes to their concepts and ideas, I don't want to even have a concept about what they're talking about. My conversations need to be about what we need to be talking about. But
then you leave out, there are a lot of our children in those communities.
That's not true.
No, I totally disagree.
That's not true. I work with children.
They out there. Come on now. Keep it 100. It's so many of our children. You can do both. You can do both.
You're missing my point. I'm not saying, because I work with children. I own a nonprofit. I worked inside an elementary school. I worked inside of Utah Marshall Elementary School. I worked in a middle school and a high school. So all I've been doing is working with children. That's why it's about the community. I'm not an intellectual that stands behind a computer. I am the community. I'm in the community. So I know how to go in the community and talk to our children. I'm talking about European frameworks. That's what I'm talking about. So when I talk to our children, I have a weekend school, Kimoyo Shule Afrikan, and I teach Black children ages 8 to 10. And I don't use European concepts to teach our children. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you. I thought you were saying don't go. I'm like, no, we can't. We got to go back and get our people.
No, so
okay, I got you. I got you.
You got to be willing to listen to what is being said. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't care about Europeans. I'm 1,000% for Black people. I've been doing this for over 30-something years. You know what I'm saying? So I don't work this out. All the schools, that place where you say you're going to be at, I ran my program out that building for 7 years. The place you come into Baltimore, I've been in there for 7 years. And I ran my program out that building. You know what I'm saying? I know how to reach our people without using European concepts.
Exactly. I say on that one.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to hear your perspective, because I know your perspective was going to be a little bit different and shift the conversation a little bit. Appreciate your words, Brother Baba. Let's go to Sister Emiket, then we'll go to Wu, and then I want to hear from Brother Sam Pope. I want to hear from him.
Yes, Dua, thank you. And in regards to, the importance of us writing, I like to say, I think I've had most of the things I wanted to say, it has been touched on. And I think it just revolves around authenticity, and because there is a way that some information can be relayed to the readers in a sense that they can actually relate to quickly, and then get them into that conversation and then learn quicker, as opposed to maybe some of the stiff ways or some of the, a little bit unfamiliar, ways or methods that can be taught, by people that maybe the reader is not really relatable to. So it's, it's more about being authentic in that manner, so that your message, can be, can actually reach more people quicker. And also on the other thing, and the importance of actually of people like us writing. And I'm going to speak mostly for people also on a continent, because most of the stories from the continent are actually relayed by people not from the continent themselves. And I know that firsthand because I was actually taught. I studied on a continent. I studied basically in Kenya, that's in East Africa. And I know how, I studied under the Kenyan system. I also studied under the British system. And both of them, a lot of focus was also more on, not so much on our history per se, or even using books written by us, but, on other people's history. We are very good at, knowing everything that happens around the world, and not really so much. It's expected from us that we learn that at home. But sometimes that might not be enough, and also just learning it at home doesn't mean that you know everything about other cultures that actually are around you. For example, in Kenya, we have 42 different ethnic groups. I might not necessarily know about other ethnic groups per se, because what I learn at home will be mostly about my culture, which is the Luo culture. So then that particular type of information is locked away from the rest of the people, because not a lot of people, there's not a lot of books that were being written in that sense. So it's expected for us as a people that we learn at home. And then everything else about the broader world and books written by everybody else outside that is considered to be more official, then we do that in school. So that keeps us an outsider. And so that is actually something that I grew up witnessing. And even to date, when I actually, try to learn about my culture and things of that nature, when it comes to the written stuff, mostly you'll find from Europeans. It will be the missionaries, because the missionaries, when they did come to on a continent, they did take that time out to actually, try to document about these cultures, and that information might not be authentic per se, but that's what everybody else get. And there's this movement where we're trying to get other now local people to actually write about about their culture per se. And that for me, going through that, I know how problematic it has been finding that good work that is written by my people, that that I can actually get to delve more into it, especially now that I moved away from the continent. But I would still like to be not forget things and keep in touch with everything. So that's an important thing. And also the importance of actually writing also in the mother tongue. I know one of our famous author, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, was very, very persistent on actually writing, every author writing in their mother tongue. And not writing in the mother tongue actually is what has kept a lot of people away on a continent per se, who might actually have good information from sharing, because then they have to write in the English language. And then now the information becomes hard to relay for them as writing in English. And also, how with finding the right words to actually that translates to what they would like to portray. So everything, sometimes a lot is lost in translation. So for me, it would be the importance of not just writing, but also writing it in a way that is authentic. So from the continent, it will be being able to write in your mother tongue. Out of the continent, on a diaspora, it will be because people use English, but writing it in a way that other people like us can actually get that message. In colloquial terms, like a regular language that people use, that might be easier for other people to get into reading in that sense. So finding those little niches as an author to write in a way that is understandable for the next person, per se, as opposed to putting it in all pretty and difficult English, per se, that kind of blocks people away from reading that. Obviously, keeping in mind that even though you're doing that, the information has to be accurate as possible, but the way, the model language of it has to be a way that is relatable to the author. And that's all I wanted to add.
All right, appreciate that, sis. Appreciate that. And man, you just gave me an idea too, Sister Kid. Yeah, let's hear from Brother Sam, and then we'll go to Wu, Aku. Unc Banu and Sean and Ibaka and Mob. That's if y'all got something to say. If you don't, just say you don't have, you don't have anything. But go ahead, Brother Sam. I'm not gonna let you be on here and not say anything, Brother Sam.
Oh, yes, sir. What you're saying is so vitally important in terms of us writing and telling our own stories, because I'm of the impression that, like you say, a lot of the things that we have contributed to, good, bad, and ugly, things that have happened to us, they're being erased for future generations not to have access to. If we don't tell those stories, they're going to be missing. You can take an example of what I chose to write about for my first book. It seems simple on its premise. It's a sports book and it's a history book, right? Talking with youth who enjoyed the same sport I did could not wrap their heads around the concept that the football that they watched from our traditional white universities used to be what our universities were. And I found that I could tell a story through our history, the history of the civil rights struggle or the Jim Crow, by juxtaposing it with these people that took part in the sports that they enjoyed. People like Medgar Evers or Charles Evers, they actually played football for Black universities. I'm of the impression that probably in the near distance, if you tell a child that there was a such thing as a Black college, they won't believe it, because that's one of the things they're trying to erase. Because when a child asks, why do they have Black colleges? You have to bring up slavery. And if they're trying to erase that from the textbook, the Black college can't be there. So if you don't write things that can validate what you're saying to the youth who didn't experience it or didn't see it, your information or your knowledge or your experiences will die when you pass away. So I hope that helped explain why I feel that writing is so important. But it's basically not only telling your story, but providing the little nuances that even the most well-meaning white scholar will miss because they weren't active participants in it. And that story should be told by the participant. Just like the brother was saying about the hunter will be the hero if the lion don't tell his story. The same would apply with us telling our stories, it's going to be erased, it's going to be forgotten. And those of us who have the inclination to be scribes should definitely keep that in mind whenever they're putting pen to paper. That's about all I got to say, Brother Kofi.
All right, man. Appreciate your input, Brother Sam. Brother Wuja, I seen you getting your water right, man. I will have to put you on the time limit, Brother Wuja.
Yes, indeed.
I see you done got that water. I said, oh, he is watering that throat. Let me go ahead and get my clock. Put you on.
I got my water jug. I got my snacks right here. No. A lot can be said about this topic, but I will promise that I will be brief. I just took a couple of notes while everyone else was making their points, and I really echo the points of everybody that spoke before me. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. First of all, Baba Imhotep, you're talking to a fellow DMV, born and raised Maryland, DC. So shout out. I heard that you are there. But I want to stress a key word that I hear that we're talking about, but without mentioning it, is agency. And so what I'm hearing is that we need to exercise agency. And this goes for every group of people telling their own story from their own perspective, from their own experience. And that's agency. And so we have to really, really execute that and be unapologetic about it. So that's what I'm hearing. Another one is quality over quantity. All right, because this is what happens. If the air quote we start to produce an abundance and inundate the world scholarly academia with works from an agency, then that's going to be taken as law. And so we get kind of like one shot at this, and we don't want to cry wolf. So we have to definitely focus on quality, and people need to be qualified to do these things. It's not as simple as just because you can go buy a pen and paper, or you got a keyboard or whatever, you can type and write. But at the same time, we need to encourage everyone to do so. So it's like a sweet spot we have to definitely be aware of with that. Another thing, and that goes into what I wrote as far as measure twice and cut once. People should understand that once we put things out there, the rest of the world is going to take it to heart. And so we don't want to misrepresent things, because the first impression is the lasting impression. So whenever we write something or we tell our own stories, then it's going to stick. It's hard to change a person's mind after that. So that goes into what I was saying there. And then something that Emiket said in terms of things being lost in translation, and I speak about that all the time, which ties into my mantra that if the move is to write your history in your mother tongue, then people who are not in your history and are not among you, who want to learn about your history and your culture, they too must learn your tongue. That's the best approach. And that's been my mantra in terms of my focus on ancient Egypt or Kemet. In order to become intimate with any culture, you have to do it by way of its language, because if not, things get lost in translation. And so this is something that's barring or discouraging people on the continent from engaging in writing, because they have to write in either French or English or German, and it's not their mother tongue. And so it becomes difficult to convey concepts. Somebody mentioned concepts and us being kidnapped or arrested to concepts. We can't even express concepts in the most precise way when we have to come outside of the mother tongue, where those concepts are burnt in the psyche of the people, in order to convey it to other people, because we have to choose our words carefully. And sometimes concepts don't have a direct and exact match. And so that runs into problems. That's what we have with the misunderstanding of different cultures, even among our own people. We look at other African cultures on the continent, and we think that people are spooked out or doing things that they're not really doing, or they wrote things or believe things that they really don't believe, or they have other realities behind those beliefs, but we're not part and parcel of it, so we don't understand it. And so that's a critical point. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that, and this is a very, very difficult thing. This is something I've been advocating for years, and I would love to be a part of any movement to do this. We have to define the we. And I say that sounds kind of corny, but if you think about it, it's very profound. Whenever we have these conversations, I heard everybody say we, us, that first person plural, we, us, but we never define the we, because we have a lot of we's. Not everybody, even of the same skin color or claim to be or self-identify as Black, are the same or thinking the same. So we have to define the we, because even on the continent of Black Africa, a lot of people outside, we would say, okay, they're Black Africans, but we have to understand that there's a diversity there, and people have the wherewithal to write their stories. So we have many we's, and so we have to define the we and whatever perspective that's going to come from, and then exercise agency and tell the story. So that's my piece. And by the way, congratulations, Kofi. I didn't congratulate you earlier on the release of your book. And like I said, writing for me, it's something that Brother Ben has said earlier as well. Writing, and it also echoed in ancient Egyptian culture, writing basically produces a memory for you to be remembered beyond your life, and therefore you will have an afterlife. It's one of the ways in which you can have an afterlife, because if you put pen to pad and it's promoted and it gets out there and it gets exposure, then you will not be forgotten. And that's the main thing about, living on, is in the memory of the living. And so doing good works, and especially writing or doing something that documents, because now we have technology, so we have other ways of documenting things. We got video and so on and so forth. But for a long time, we just had writing. So writing is the main piece. So I encourage everyone to write. And then also another thing that came to mind, write for your genre. So there's different genres of writing, and so make sure you submerge yourself into whatever genre you're about, and learn the ins and outs of it. Like, there's textbooks, there's a certain style, there's science fiction, there's fiction, there's history, there's scholarly works, and so we have to understand the differences and the methodologies of those different categories, and then write and just do your best. So that's my piece.
All right. I don't know who I said would be next. I don't forgot who were, but
it was me, good brother. It was me.
All right. And hey, I'm proud of you too, Woo. I'm proud of you, man.
Yo, he did good. He did good. You know what I mean? And I want, he sounded like me a little bit when he said that, we got to define what we mean when we say we. I'm like, damn, me and Wujao agreeing on this. So real quick, I want to say, we one of the things that I'm proud of with this panel and with the work that everybody's been doing, and it's work that our elders and some of our ancestors pioneered, and that's creating alternative systems. Right? Creating alternative systems. Like, when we look out from our community and we look at the mainstream, we encounter gates, right? There are gates, there's gatekeepers, and in order to get into certain gates, you have to conform to certain, ideologies and standards that may not match your particular integrity, right? So this is something that I'm proud in the sense that instead of begging for a seat at the table, we create our own table, we create our own systems, we create our own publishing companies, we create, our own pipelines to get the information out. And outside of this, there's nothing else that these other people can offer except money. And normally that comes with strings. You know what I mean? Bread is king, right? money is king as it pertains to promo, right? This is something that I've learned from writing and publishing books. This is something that I learned from pretty much trying to promote any kind of service or product that I'm putting out, whether it's the tours and pilgrimages, whether it's music, it all comes down to paid promotion. You know what I mean? So whether, it's the music industry, whether it's film, whether it's books, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to being able to pay the money to have whoever, distribution, company, whatever distribution company, whatever media outlet to actually put your stuff out, right? That's what it comes down to. So I want to, applaud everyone for taking the independent route. It's not for the faint at heart, right? I want to encourage the continued creation of our own gate, right? And maybe some communal funding, right, to further promote everybody's work in a synergistic manner, right? I think that that's going to be very important. Now, in regards to the importance of writing, right? We should it is highly important. We can't look to how oppressors, right, to to promote or publish work that lead to our liberation. It don't really make sense, right? If they can promote it, they can unpromote it, right? For the lack of a better word, right? If they can put you up, they can tear you down, right? So kind of switching the mindset to not even really look to them for any kind of assistance in this, right? Now, if you can bleed them, but get out, right? But this is something that we have to really kind of reprogram our minds on. Whoever's in charge, right, or whoever's at the top, they normally control the narrative as it's been echoed many times. I just got back from Kemet, just got back from Egypt, right? And one of the things that I saw out of all the times I've been, this was like my 9th time going, all of the things that I've seen this past trip, one of the most critical things that stuck out is that the majority of the walls from Luxor down to Aswan have been erased. The majority of the reliefs, the writing on the temple walls have been erased. Actually, literally scrubbed blank, right? For the purpose or in the name of artistic restoration, they intend to go back and to redraw, recopy the reliefs from pictures and photographs and facsimiles that they've taken over
Tell them
time.
who it is, Uncle Banu. Who is that? That for people that may not, I know who you're talking about. For people that may not know, and they've been doing this for some years now, scrubbing those walls to erase those writings off the wall. But who is that?
Well, this is the local people there, right, that are there now, that are employed in Kemet, in Egypt, right? Employed by, whichever institution that heads the tourism and the archaeology and all of that for that country. They actually are employing people to go in and scrub the walls dry. And when you go in certain places, you can actually see where they've begun to rewrite it in pencil, right? For the purpose of going back and recarving and repainting and all these things, which, with that, it produces or, brings to light all kinds of potential issues, right? In terms of errors, right? Human errors. Let's say, even if the intention behind it isn't sinister, right? There's all kind of room for errors of every kind. right? So this is the importance of having your own, right? Having your own and keeping your own. Having and keeping your own. Writing your work and rewriting your work and keeping your work going and maintaining agency over your work, ownership over your work, right? Because once you lose it, people, whoever gets it can do whatever they want to do with it, right? So I want to really encourage greater organization amongst the independent authors and publishers in our communities to continue to create an alternative system, right? Continue to go. Don't get weary. Don't be so quick to sell out for the check and this, that, and the third. Keep, build your endurance and stick to it. That's one thing. The last thing that I want to say, in respect to the point that Imiket made, we definitely need to really consider learning the languages that are spoken by our people wherever we can find them. By our people, I mean African people and people of African descent. Africa as a continent is ready to embrace the diaspora. Every time I go over there, I'm asked, yo, bring me your book, right? Bring me your book. I need a book. You know what I mean? We should look into translating our works into as many languages as possible. Google Translate is your friend, right? if you don't have the time to learn all this, use Goggle, right, to translate it. But let's put it in as much, as many languages as we can, because that opens up all kinds of opportunities, for us socially, economically, politically, etc., so on. Being able to move around and travel beyond the circles that we may have limited ourselves to, and the language opens the way. So I just got off a video call a couple of days ago with the Dagbo of Voodoo in Benin, right? He's the supreme leader of Voodoo in Benin, working on organizing a trip for the Voodoo Festival. And there was a language barrier because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak French, right? There's a language barrier. So his son had to translate, and it's which was cool because they're good people and I trust them. But it really put a battery in my back to let me get on top of these languages so that I can deal with and speak directly with my people as I move around. And being able to do the same thing with the written words that we're putting out, that's going to be very, very important for building a better future for our people worldwide. With that, I want to say congratulations, my good brother Kofi, once again on the release of your work, Mandingo Theory. Sound like a banger. I look forward to checking it out, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Go ahead, Sean. I think you was next. You was next. I'm gonna keep the show going. We show running over, man. We is running over time, but I want to
worried about the time. If you keeping the show going, what you worried about the time for?
Well, Peanut Head, go ahead, Peanut Head. I want to hear from Peanut Head.
I don't have anything to add. I think everybody is correct in their perspectives and what they provided the audience thus far. So if someone else wants to contribute, they have the right. I'm here for support.
Okay, no doubt. That's why you my brother, Peanut Head. That's why you my brother.
Take your hat off.
I'm good up out there, but let's hear from Brother Lion, man. Brother Lion, and then we'll hear from Ibaka, and then I'll hear from Matute. Well, or three. Well, Voss, I see Voss on here. I thought he had been dropped up out there. So, but yeah, let's hear from them, and then we'll hear from the Kofi Piesie research team members. Go ahead, brother Lion.
Yes, race first. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Just two quick points. Brother Wu and I think Brother Ankh Manu just touched on the point of the who is we. I say that all the time because, you know, the we can be defined differently in different situations. You know what I mean? And we need to be able to use that to our advantage. The fact that, you know, once you identify that that's an issue, defining who the we is and knowing that we need to do that, figure out what we need from the we in which situation so we can have that in the strategic plan moving forward, right? Because everything, like Brother Baba Imhotep was talking about, attacking things holistically, we got so many different ways that we have to hit these things. Like even just the different range of topics of the books that's on this panel right now, you know what I mean? We hitting things from so many different angles. And another point that Brother Wu was talking about as far as qualified, like you have to be qualified to write about certain things. So to anybody that's listening, as far as upcoming authors or aspiring authors, you know, try to focus on something that, because remember he was talking about that sweet spot. That's where you know about something, you're comfortable with it, and you want to make it clear to the people that's going to be the audience, and you're able to convey the message clearly. You know, that's qualified. A lot of times, you know, people get off into doing things that they're not necessarily, you know, qualified for. So try and focus so we can have quality over so much quantity, and for a purpose. To the brother Sam, I know he may have jumped off, but when he was talking about, you know, the sports and how you can teach through sports metaphors, you know, it's things like that. I got a brother here who's in this funny, my brother on the panel is named Black Panther. I got a brother here who was trying to piggyback off of the success of the movie Black Panther. And he tried to find all these different images and stuff, you know, dealing with the Black Panther Party. And he's trying to just mash it all together so he can bring children together and teach them about unity and just in any way possible. And one of the things that he found was pretty interesting to me was the fact that Jackie Robinson was a part of the Black Panther division of the military that he was in or something like that. So, you find little tidbits like that, trying to be creatively teaching unification and understanding who the we is in the larger picture, so we can get back to later on, we can deal with the smaller divisions amongst us when it comes time. One last thing I'll just say about sharing information and why it's important. Dealing with the UNIA and the Black Cross nurses, you know, back in the days in the 1919 during the Spanish flu, 1920 when they came together in the convention in Madison Square Garden, you know, the plan was for everybody to come from their different respective parts from the country or from the world and speak about the different medicinal and healthcare routines that you deal with in your area. What do you call this plant? So like in California, you know, it's aloe, and Jamaica is Cinco Bible. You know, they're able to cross-reference those discussions and mesh the information. So as far as having our own, protecting our own, like I said in the chat, and our own agency, we have to structure these things so it'll be a foundation. We can't expect immediate gratification from our things here. It's not about us blowing up and all this other thing. It's about a foundation that future generations can build on. And one final thing I will say to Brother Kofi, man, salute you. Congratulations. I bid you much success. And man, get some rest. Salute. You earned it, brethren.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Ibaka.
Man, yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. I mean, well said by everybody. I think the panel is educated enough, intellectual enough to get their points across. One thing that stuck out to me is the fact that we all have diverse gifts and talents and focuses. And I think if we spend our time focusing on the things that we are basically trained to do or studied to do, I think we can get a lot of things done. And just to kind of speak on just the whole point of this this part of the podcast is that the reason why books and writing books is important, especially for Black folks, because I only care about Black folks. So that's my position, that's my stance. And you know, you guys can tell from my music, you know, it's a whole lot of Blacktivation going on. But outside of that, the importance of writing books for us is of the utmost concern for me. I believe it's very necessary. There's a Kota proverb among the Bakota people of Gabon. And that proverb it goes like this. It's a coiled snake does not grow. A coiled snake does not grow. And that just simply means an inactive individual cannot see success. An inactive individual cannot, right, provide the necessities of life for himself, his household, and his community. So I think the focus is whether you're a blacksmith, focus on blacksmith work, right? Train those in the art of blacksmith. If you are a priest, train those up in the ways of priesthood. If you are a musician, if you are a griot, right, or griotis, right, train in that way, teach others that way, right? And I think we can see success, because what I see today in this world, especially among us, is that we are curled up, right? We are balled up, we are coiled, and we are not able to move, right? There's no motion, you know, about us, right? We are inactive, right? And this is why I have the whole concept of Blacktivation, right? We have to be Blacktive, right? Anything that's motionless is dead, right? Anything that's have motion or energy to produce motion, that's alive, right? That's a thing that's alive. That's an agency that's alive. Water that's stagnant is a swamp. It's dead, right? It's putrid. It has nothing but negative, right, pathogens within those things, right, and so on and so forth, right? But when we're talking about rivers, right, such as the Nile Valley River, such as the Ogooué River within Gabon, we're talking about a life source. That's alive, right? That's a thing that's alive. That's an agency that's alive. Water that's stagnant is a swamp. It's yes, sir. So yeah, I mean, just to get back on point, we have to be people of motion. We have to be people of energy, you know, activation. We have to be individuals that's willing to put everything on the line for a generation that is to come, because the generation that I'm looking forward to is the one that's going to be open-minded enough to receive the information that's been written, you know, whether in book form, articles, or even discussions on YouTube. You know, I do what I do, not for myself, I do it for my family. And more importantly, I do it for my children, right? The books that I'm working on, I'm doing it for my children. You know, when I pass away, I want to be able to leave a part of me with them, right? So just like everybody on this panel, right, we are individuals that are seeking solutions, right? We desire solutions, right? We're tired of being stagnated, right? We want motion in our life. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't think I can really add on top of what everybody said, but just let's continue to move, right? Let's just continue to allow our bodies to have circulation and the body of our mind to have circulation, so all of those things can receive nutrients from, you know, within its system, you know? So Black power, Black love.
All right, man. Anybody else, man? Anybody else got anything?
I wanted to share this this excerpt from an ancient Egyptian text related to writing. And we have to remember too that nowadays we call them influencers. So we have social media, we have Instagram, TikTok, and we have influencers. And we have to understand that in antiquity, those people who were eloquent of speech, those people who were wisdom keepers, they were the influencers of that day. You know, so the writers, when writing was invented and people started writing, though they were the influencers, they're the ones who shaped the philosophy of the people, you know, people who could speak very well. So with that being said, I just want to read, this is from the Papyrus Lansing. So if anyone wanted to look up the primary source for this, the Papyrus Lansing, that dates back to the 20th dynasty, and it's very short. And I'm reading a passage out of Dr. Theophile Obenga's book, African Philosophy. I don't know if you all can see it. Probably blocked it out from my camera. So it says, cherish study, avoid the dance, so you'll become an excellent official. Do not yearn for outdoor pleasures, hunting and fishing. Shun boomerang throwing and the chase. Write diligently by day, recite at night. Let your friends be the papyrus roll and the scribal palette. Such work is better than wine. Indeed, writing, for those who know it, is far better than all other professions, pleasanter than beer, bread and beer, more delightful than clothes and perfumed ointments, more precious than a legacy in Kemet, more precious than a womb in the West. And that's where it ends. And so it's basically bigging up to the utmost the profession of writing. And then Dr. Obenga goes into commentary about it. But I think that that is something to keep in mind when it comes to writing, the importance of it. Because before writing was invented, the equivalent would be the wisdom keepers of the different communities, and they would be the influencers. You know, we didn't have just these, you know, anybody buy a webcam and YouTube channel type of influencers back in the past. So that speaks to the quality. You know, they didn't allow people to be influenced in the past like how we do today, because psychology is very important, the way the mind works. So we all got to keep that in mind. And that's all I have.
Appreciate it, bro. Woo. Appreciate it. And that's a classic too, man. That book is a classic, man. That is a classic book. I advise everybody to get Theophile Bingo's book. Get the name of the book one more time, would y'all? You muted if you were saying something. Okay.
Sorry about that. It's called African Philosophy, Dr. Theophile Obenga, African Philosophy, the Pharaonic Period, 2780 to 330 BC. So that's the cover. Yeah, definitely get it. I highly recommend this book to everyone. People ask me.
It's expensive now, man. It was a little cheaper when we all bought the book some years ago, but I think the price that went up for the book.
It's originally $32, but now you're gonna spend 3 times that.
Yep, sure is. But it's a highly recommended book, man. But any other person on the panel, I want everybody to speak. We got 15 minutes. We kind of went over. I wanted to be done in an hour, but I wanted to allow everybody to speak. So if everybody else got something to say pertaining to the discussion, man.
I got something that I just wanted to add real quick. You know, I'm in the schools myself, working with the youth, and you know, it's crazy. Today, I all week and really every week, I ask these children, our children, you know, what is Africa? Is it a city? Is it a state, a country, a continent? And, you know, even before I give the options, the fact that there's dead silence, the response is, or, you know, if you're not yelling out continent, there's a problem, right? I'm starting from ground zero with the, like, you asked them to name a country in Africa and kids are yelling out South America. You know, we all know this story. Like, we know spring chickens when it comes to, you know, the education process. And it's sad because, you know, as it has been reiterated several times that, you know, we invented writing. We invented the idea of reading something, to transcribe something, to create a representation for an idea of reality. And when I go into these schools with these drums and I begin to play, the number one question is, your hands don't hurt? How can you drum so long? This, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, first of all, before we get there, we need to understand what is Africa. And so on paper, the answer is a continent that contains several countries, la, 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 but that's not the real answer. Look at this panel. And for those that are listening in the audience, Africa is you. Africa is not a place. Africa is each and every one of us that continue to be the walking, living definition of greatness. It's not to say that other nations and people aren't great, but we are here talking about and bigging up us because we don't get enough shine. And I think it's very important that we all continue, as all of these points have been, you know, I echo everything that's said. We must continue to do exactly what it is that we're doing, because this whole critical race theory and trying to take that out the conversation, there is no conversation without understanding the Black struggle and the global disenfranchisement, period. I don't play no games. I don't pull no punches. I don't play around with that. I walk in the door, and the fact that those kids cannot name me, you should be able to rattle off 10 countries off the rip, as Brother Kofi would say. You should be yelling out, Africa is a continent, and I got 10 countries for you. The whole idea of the modern countries and borders is another conversation. We understand that the locals did not make those borders. We're not having that conversation. We're talking about just being able to identify the landmass and to say right now, today, what's considered the different borders that we call countries. The fact that you can't name them off like 10, 20 countries, I have a problem with that. And so these works that we're going to, we're constantly producing, everybody on this panel produces hard blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that we educate our people. And I say that to say, no matter what it is that you do, whether you are on the ground with your boots on the ground in the field, whether you are writing and producing things, whatever it is that you do, keep doing it, because this is how it stays alive. This is how it stays immortal, is that we keep producing the works and we make them understand that Africa is each and every one of us. That's my piece.
All right, anybody else? And after everybody that speak, I'm gonna read an insert, and then we'll end the show. Anybody else?
Yes, if I may, first of all, let me congratulate you, Kofi Piesie, on your new book. I know I didn't do that before, but congratulations. You know, I'm gonna give you a nickname. I'll call you Kofi Alali Piesie. And I put Alali as in Kiswahili, as in don't sleep, because Kofi don't sleep. So Kofi Alali Piesie. Okay, but congratulations. I know, you know, people don't really understand how much work you have to put into writing a book. And a whole process, you know, where you actually draft, you're outlining, you're trying to figure out what is it you want people to get out of, because you're delivering, you want to deliver something to people. So it's when you see somebody publish, you know, stuff, it takes a lot of work. And obviously, when it comes to writing these books, this is not something that pays the bills per se. So it's a passion, and when people do it, it's because you want something, you want to play a part, like Black Panther said, and like Wujao said, like, you know, these are things that you want to leave a legacy, basically, and you want to try to be able to say, when your time is up, you did this, and this improved, you know, the next generation per se. So that's very important, and people don't realize that. Now, because when I heard most people talk, what I realized is that obviously we are mostly centered around educating a particular demographic, a group of people. And with this, you know, even when I wrote my book, specifically this book, it's more of a curriculum type of book, textbook, like Wujao said, and you're trying to teach something so that somebody can actually learn something. And then obviously, one of the things that I think that definitely is something that we do need to think more about is to focus more on the youth per se, because that is those are who are the future, you know, and those are the people that mostly when you target, it's like you're planting seeds. So those are the people that you can say that, okay, they are willing to learn, they have time to learn and implement the things that you're teaching or you're trying to share. And then you can see how, how that the fruitions of those things at a particular time, when at a particular time has passed. So some of the things that we definitely need to do is, focus a lot on even when you're writing, because I guess some genres are very, very restrictive. But for this kind of stuff that we write, that most of the people actually express is the particular type of information they produce. Is when you focus on that particular audience, we do also kind of have to make, where there's checks and balances, put quizzes in the book, like, so people can actually get to know, are they learning out of it? We obviously have like some of the, like I just finished putting in the, a course for the book that we wrote as this issue, so that people can actually come in and check, like, are they able, like, I read this book, what did I get out of it? In that sense. So did the author really do their work? Like, were they able to, to relay that information in a way that it made sense to me, where I am now able to actually go out there and specifically relay their information accurately, in that sense. So mostly also focus also on other avenues after writing the book. How are you able to go back and see what your audiences are getting out of the book? We have that Sabre University where, we have the courses that anybody can come and create courses that actually, that reflect their books. So in that sense, then you have your audience come in there and then, and that will also help us as authors. Like, did I fulfill my goal? Do I need to write more of this, or do I need to focus a little bit more on this where people are having trouble? Because at the end of the day, it's like we want to make a change, with people. So, and that change also has to come, not just writing and then writing another book and then writing another book, but going back and then seeing how that book actually did it help, or what do I need to tweak out of it on this time, and do I need to put another edition and things of that nature. I just wanted to add that part.
Oh yeah, you definitely right. I definitely agree with what you're saying, because that's kind of like what we do with our books. We kind of see where we can tweak it at, and we make a curriculum. We'll come and do a presentation. Like with this book, I'm gonna do like 7 presentations with a middle of next month, and see what people get out of it, get some feedback, see where I need to work it, or see what I need to critique here, or so I definitely agree with you. Anybody else, man, got anything else, man? Like I said, I'm gonna read one more insert. I know I said I was gonna give away something, but I'm gonna come back and do a show. I don't know if I'm gonna do a show Sunday. I'm gonna do a show Sunday, but I don't know if I'm gonna do a recap of this show, or I'm gonna do a discussion that we've been talking about back and forth. I think will be an interesting discussion. So I'll come back Sunday and I'll give away this well, it's gonna be this cap, but a Mandingo Theory cap, a Mandingo Theory book shirt, and a free book. I may give away another book if a line of questions that I got, if people get them right. But this time you're gonna have to come on the panel. The last thing I gave away 3 books, I gave away a couple of shirts, and people, I let them answer in the chat. So all they probably did was went and looked real quick on the answers and stuff real quick, and I wanted them to answer that like in real time, see if people just been following us and paying attention to the session, the Mossy and the Kofi Piesie research team, man. But anybody else got anything, man, before I read another insert? And I'll read another insert from out of the book, and then we'll close out the show.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me on this show. Congratulations for the book. I'm definitely going to be copping that. And I advise everyone else to cop it as well. If you're Black and you're a Black male, or a Black male, cop the book.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. And
go ahead. One last thing. Again, congratulations. And I'm telling you, this should be an inspiration to everybody. Hopefully this video gets more exposure, and I'm going to actually expose this video on our channel. And I wanted to just make an announcement that tomorrow we'll be having an open house Zoom session for any and everybody to come on in to discuss the process of learning the ancient Egyptian language. And so I'll be going live after this, just to kind of reiterate those things. But I also will make reference to this video because I think this is a very, very good conversation and important. Hopefully, it inspires other people.
No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate that. I'll be tuning in when you go live, and I'll try to participate in the next the one for Saturday. If I'm still here, my son's birthday tomorrow, so if I'm back in time, I'm definitely gonna jump on the panel, man, and be supportive and give my input or whatever y'all need from me. So well, since nobody else got something, and we went over. Oh man, it's almost 3 hours. I said 2 hours. I knew I wasn't gonna do right. We wasn't gonna do right, but I enjoyed the conversation. So
I try to tell you took the title from me, MC Iron Lung. See, y'all need to cut it out. Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to give it all to Kofi.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be, man. But and I'll just say this on the record, like this. Once you purchase this book, it's a very interesting read. You know what I'm saying? It's an easy read. I think it's got almost 200 some pages. Let me see. Almost 200 some pages in the book. The way we formatted the book, you know what I'm saying, made it where it's real easy to read. I wrote it where you can be engaging in it. I done read the book twice since I wrote the book, and once I picked the book up, and I started reading, I really honestly I can't stop because I'm touching on some stuff that you might have never heard, or touching on some stuff, or elaborating a little further on some stuff that we don't hear about a lot. You know what I'm saying, in this community. And I'm saying, if you purchase the book and you don't like the book, I'll give you money back. But I'm guaranteed. I'm just putting it out there. I'm guaranteed that you will like the book. I like how I structured the book, how I structured every chapter, how I related information, how I deal with the psychology from both perspectives. But I'll read this real quick, and I'll read from this is from I think this is chapter 5, Mandingo Theory, and I'm gonna just read this, and I'll explain once I get through reading, because before I talk about the European Mandingo Theory and go through that psychology and where you can get an understanding of why they did what they did as far as castrating Black men, why they raped Black African women, why they turned other Black families against each other and forcing their friends to have sex with their wives, and their wives turning each other against each other, or even women's raping Black men, or the psychology behind the European slave wife. But with the Mandingo thing, so I talk about two in here in the chapter. I talk about the Mandingos, or the Malinke people, or the Mandi people, so people can have a broad understanding of them. But the word, so in this chapter 2, in the beginning, I'm gonna read, but I try to touch on in West Africa, Mandingo has its own meaning, and then when Mandingo reaches the United States or reaches other countries, well, specifically the United States, the Mandingo becomes another term. So the Mandingo in West Africa means something, and the Mandingo in the United States means something different, totally different, and totally opposite. But I said, what is the origin of the name of the word Mandingo? There are two different meanings, and a straightforward definition of the Mandingo is a member of the people of Western Africa in a near the upper Niger Valley, and others is a sexual active African American male with large penises. One origin of Africans, and the other origin is America, which has become a stereotype. So, and I'm gonna read a little bit more, but the Mandingo word has become a stereotype in the United States. And the psychology behind the European, when they was going back and forth, coming up with these different theories and created the Mandingo theory, right? Because they were saying Africans was over-sexual. This is the women wanted to be raped. Even the men, even that's a taboo. I talk about that briefly, about the men being raped. I'm not talk about that a lot with the males, but I talk about that briefly with the slave owner male raping the African man, which is a taboo. And I kind of touch on that and elaborate a little bit, but there's not a whole lot of material dealing with the African being raped by the male European. But I touch on that a little bit, but the Mandingo became a stereotype, and then we buy into the stereotype. Like I even talk about in this book, a lot of people know the Roots, the rap group Roots. So Questlove, who is a drummer, one of the founders of the Roots, a hip hop group that's out of Philadelphia. You have Black Thought, which is the main artist, who's a spitter. Man, his brother's a spitter. So I talk about him a little bit, and how a video interview I looked at, and how he was claiming himself to be Mandingo because of his enlarged private part, in an interview. And then later on, him joking about him being Mandingo, him and Questlove took a DNA test, and it comes to find out that he goes back to the Malinke people. He is a descendant of the Malinke people. So actually, he is, the man, but the Mandingo became a stereotype here in the African American. And in the minds of European, West Africans with big penis, they said that they had a small capacity of brain space. You know what I'm saying? This is what made Africans primitive, because of this was the psychology behind this theory as well. Enlarged private parts made you more primitive. You know what I'm saying? Your brain wasn't developed. So I talk about that a little bit in there. But according to the British explorer, botanist Henry Hampton Johnson, and author Frank R. Cannon, Mandingo is the name currently given to the significant division of Negro peoples in West Africa, seemingly a corruption of the term applied to the essential section of this group, the Mande Inca, of the Mande Inga, which means the people of the Mande. The present writer has usually heard this word pronounced by the Mandingo themselves as Mandine, which I'm pronouncing it wrong because it's spelled Mandina, but it has a tonal mark at the above N. So that N is going to make a different, it's going to change the pronunciation. So I don't know what the correct pronunciation would be with that tonal mark being above the N, but I'm just saying the Mandina, or even the Mandina. It seems to derive from the racial name Mandi, coupled with the suffix Inca, or Inca, meaning the people of the Mande. Then again, the word Mande seems to take a various forms of Mel, Mali, Main, Madi, and according to such authorities as Benja Delphonos, is the connection with the word Mali, which means hippopotamus, or else Manta. Probably later, according to Delspani, is the term further division into Ma, which would have meant fish, or Inde is a symbolic to which ascribes to the meaning of father. In no Mandingo dialect known to the present writer, or in any other known African language, does the vocab Ma applies to fish, or any only one variable doubt for Eastern Mandingo dialect, and the root Inde or any other similar sound applied to father. The etymology must be abandoned probably in favor of Mani, Mali, Mandi, Mandi meaning hippopotamus, and in some cases and other big water mammals, the Monte. So that's just an insert. So I was just, and I go a little bit further while I elaborate, but because I talk about the two different terms is different. The term is different over there in Africa, and the term is different over here. And we have taken on that stereotype, and I've been hearing this my whole life. And people, or even people that does not look like us, calling us Mandingo. You know what I'm saying? And Mandingo, and through the European mind, this was an insult. You know what I'm saying? This became a stereotype, and those who had those big phalluses or called them, who referred to them as Mandingo, they was considered to be primitive. They was considered to be dumb. They were considered for their brains not to be developed. But I also talk about even with the male, we use the word, what is it? The word, and because I talk about the stereotype of the woman, I think is hold on, let me see what it was. I can't remember. I don't want to say, I think it's I don't want to say the wrong thing. Jezebel. So this was also something that was developed through the mind of them as well for the African woman. And I kind of elaborate a little bit in that. And I know in my surroundings, I have heard many people call our young children or even, young teenagers, you need to stay away from her. She ain't nothing but a Jezebel. You know what I'm saying? So these are, negative connotations that was developed by them, you know what I'm saying, to attack the black male and the black female. But I appreciate everybody that joined the panel. I know most of the people stayed. A lot of people had to go. We was staying for 2 hours. We went over as we at the 3-hour mark, man. I appreciate everybody stayed the duration. I appreciate the people who stayed the duration in chat. I appreciate the people who may come back later on and listen to it in the archives or come back and revisit this in the archives. I appreciate this. Again, my book, Mandingo Theory, Castration of Africans and the Sex-crazed Conceptualization, is available on Sanctuary Different Branch Publishing.com. Please go and support me. Don't go to Amazon. Don't go to Barnes & Noble, Target. I want all my money. So please, if you're going to support me, and this is how we able to do the things that we able to do. This is and the money that we get from these books, like Emicat said, we don't get rich off of these. I got people that think that I'm actually balling out of control because of the books that we publish. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty decent money, but it's not enough to really make a living off of it. So a lot of times when y'all purchase our products, we reinvest it back into the companies, and this is how we was able to start the publishing company. This was how we was able, before we started the publishing company, to create other books. This was how we was able to create the Invoca Family Connect apparel company that we have, that I need to start back promoting, which I have been slacking for the past 2 or 3 weeks. This hat was created by me, and it's on the Invoca Family Connect apparel .com. I got to start back promoting that because we got a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to revamp it as well and take some stuff off and put some new stuff on. But again, appreciate the people that's on the panel. I appreciate y'all. I respect y'all. I respect those who came through and stayed most of the time on the panel, who gave their input, their fees. And please go support all these authors that was on here. All these people are phenomenal. They are highly intelligent, you know what I'm saying? And they are for our people. So please go patronize them as well and get every author that spoke about their publication. You know what I'm saying? Rewind it, go back and see where they want you to go publish. Where they want you to go and purchase their publications. And again, appreciate everybody. I'll come back Sunday. I have we'll do a show, a group show, and then I may give away a couple of other things as well. I'm always giving away stuff. I like giving away stuff to people, especially people that that I know appreciate the things that we do and appreciate the things that us as a collective do. I want to say peace. I want to say liberation. I want to say and peace and motivation. You know what I'm saying? And inspiration. And I hope this show was able to help someone that watch the show, or someone who's gonna watch the show, inspire them to write a book, you know what I'm saying, or do something to affect change within their own community. So again, man, peace, and we out of here, man, and go cop that Mandingo Theory. Castration of Africans and the Sex-crazed Conceptualization, man. We out of here, man. Thank y'all. I don't even know. Oh, okay. I was gonna say how you end the show.